at E3, correct?
I was. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff to
Awesome.
talk about.
Okay, cool. Because we are going to talk in our Let's Discuss segment. We've got a couple of questions, but one of the big things I want us to talk about is a week removed. What do we think about E3?
Oh,
What do we
perfect.
think about Nintendo's E3 presence? And
Perfect.
kind of going back to that. I haven't got to be on the show either since then.
Oh,
I
we'll
did.
talk about it then.
We did a really long video that probably not a lot of people watch, but that's okay. Um, so I'll throw some stuff out there, and you kind of have a little bit of time to come down off the high.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
It's funny
all right,
though. Well, we'll talk about it. It's
yeah,
podcastable. I'll
all
wait.
right.
Yeah.
Just you just tell me when we're ready.
We're ready.
All right.
All right, here we go. Three, two. Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 235, recorded on June 20th, 2019. On tonight's episode, we're going to discuss everything about Animal Crossing New Horizons, Dr. Mario World, and our follow up to one of Nintendo's biggest showings at E3 ever. And joining us tonight on the podcast, our good friend, Mr. Roger DeLuigi from Rogers Base. We are so excited to have him back. And look, y'all know he's always excited. Jesse,
Always.
cue that music. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Marty here for Nintendo Dads. Glad to be back on the show this week after a week hiatus for Kids Camp, something that happens every week or every summer for a week in my world. And be gone next week, too. That's okay. We'll be back for the rest of the summer. Joining me tonight on this episode, Mr. Jesse Waldak. How's it going, buddy?
Greetings. I was able to rest because when we recorded last week, I was exhausted. Even though I
Yeah.
wasn't at E3, I felt like it just because of all the coverage I was trying to keep an eye on. So
Very
and got back to work and trying to catch up from that. And it's nuts. Remember the flooding we had last month?
yeah.
We had a late casualty of the flooding.
Uh-oh.
My DVD case or rack, like a bookcase but smaller, the base red rotted on it, and we woke up one morning and the whole thing was face down.
Oh, man.
So
But are the DVDs okay?
most likely, because we haven't even
Most
moved it yet.
likely.
We haven't even moved it yet. It's still there on the face down. So because I didn't have any place to put them, so
Yeah.
I ordered a new case that we'll get next week that my son and I will put together and rearrange everything. But
Awesome.
unless there was some loose discs floating around, which there shouldn't have been, everything should be good.
Yeah, we have built-in shelves in our wall that just kind of were there when we moved in, and they have all our DVDs and books.
That's a good
So-
way to do it.
You know, did we transition to the underground theme here?
Underground theme.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
not often that I think this music goes
Yeah.
on this long.
yeah. Usually it's not like
Just keeping the music on and on and on.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
we're
let's
talking
leave it
so
on
much
the
we don't
episode.
even notice what the music's doing.
Speaking of leaving him on the whole episode, Roger from Rogers Base, he's here with us tonight. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing very good. Obviously, E3 was exhausting. I did live reactions to all the press conferences, the major ones. I didn't do Ubisoft's, but I did all the other ones. And, between doing the live reactions to the conferences, plus going to the show, plus uploading, live streams of Hunter x Hunter and One Piece, it's been a busy week. But I'm finally back on my regular schedule because you got to remember, I haven't been on Nintendo Dance in a while because I was in Japan prior to E3, and I went to Anime Center. So I've just been traveling around like crazy the past couple months. But I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you back. It's always a good time when you're on the show. And speaking of a good time, we've got a ton to talk about tonight, so let's just jump right in, shall we?
All right, I'm ready.
And of course, our news is brought to us by you, the good fans over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you can become part of a world-changing group of people that help all this insanity happen on a weekly basis. And so we're very thankful for each and every one of our patrons over there. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just pulling up I'm just pulling up the patron page, and so I'm just going to keep talking about it until it pulls up here.
Seeing whatever they want to
It's
talk
being
about.
Slow. Yeah. So we're super thankful for each and every one of our patrons. We had two patrons this past week win Nintendo Dad's vouchers, and one of those guys has already claimed his voucher. Got Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and that has been sent out to him. And I think we've got one that is waiting for a future game, which is cool as well. But really interesting thing that happened when we sent out Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Never had this happen before in anything that's been shipped to me. And possibly, Jesse, you can shed some light on this because I know you drive sometimes and deliver for Amazon.
Yep.
The tracking number was super weird. It started with TAB.
Okay.
And
Yes.
the like when I ordered it, it said we'll deliver it the next day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazon has been expanding their own delivery architecture or infrastructure, and so they no longer have to. So in some areas, they no longer have to throw packages at UPS anymore. Amazon will do their own. So if you see TPAs, that is Amazon doing their own delivery.
Huh.
Yeah.
So,
and
so they're able,
here's the
so
crazy
they're able
thing
to
about
do same day, next day, and it's insane.
The crazy thing about it is that I got on my, because I ordered it for Antonio Contronio, who is our Nintendo Dad's voucher winner that turned in for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. When the package shipped, I got a notification on my phone, hey, your package shipped. And then midday today, I got a notification from Amazon that said your package is almost here. It's 9 stops away.
Yep.
And I was like, this is
9
awesome.
stops. Yeah.
And then
it'll show you a map of exactly where that driver is.
Yeah.
So you can meet him at your door.
I got a final notification that said your package has been delivered, along with a photo of where it had been left.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
UPS and all you other people, you need to step your game up.
UPS definitely does. I've had multiple problems with UPS. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. UPS, I've never had a problem with. FedEx is the one I always have a problem. Every single time FedEx has an issue, because I'll get stuff shipped to me, obviously, all the time, whether it's like games or products or review or whatever. And yeah, every single time FedEx messes up. They refuse to actually take the stuff out and bring it up to my apartment, even though everybody knows the code to get in the building. It's really easy to find it and get in. People, for whatever reason, don't take the packages out of the FedEx truck. UPS is fine. Yeah, UPS.
My wife ordered some stuff for her birthday, for her and her sister's birthday, and it was supposed to show up like in 2 days because the warehouse that it's coming from is like 2 hours away from where we live, or 3 hours away. 10 days later, it hadn't shown up. And so we call FedEx because it says it's been sitting at our post office for 8 days. And they're like, we have no clue what you're talking about. It's not at the post office. We have no clue where this package is. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
What?
And so they're like, give us your wife's phone number. And I'm like, so, I tell Aaron, I'm like, hey, they're going to call. And so basically they call her eventually and they're like, yeah, it got broke. And so we're going to look into it. And so in the meantime, she contacted the seller and was like, hey, my package has got broke. Maybe you want to look into it on your end, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, no, we don't need to look into it on our end. We see that there's something wrong with it. We'll just ship you a whole new package. So they send it out to her. It comes in and it was quick. I mean, it was like that. Everything was fine. We go to camp last week. We come back and there's a FedEx box on our doorstep and it's the package that got broke. And guess what? They had gone through it.
Man.
Yep.
Man.
But you know what's cool about that is, we got double.
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah.
Thanks, FedEx, but don't do that again. That's terrible.
No.
We want to say a huge shout out to, and you guys may have mentioned him on the show last week, and that's okay. Kurt Long, who is our newest patron. We want to say a big thanks to him for being a patron of Nintendo Dads and jumping in with us over there. And we're super thankful for each and every one of our guys. And I'm going to punch the microphone and do all kinds of things that I shouldn't do after being, away from the show for a while. But let's move on and let's talk about some news. How about that? Jesse, I think you have a correction that you need to make.
Yeah, when we were going through our prediction results last week, I mistakenly said Ori was announced for Switch. Again, the back of my head, I was thinking Ori was, but I think I was thinking it was Nina Kuni.
Right.
So I took that point away from you. And kind of recalculated the results in both just raw points out of how many predictions they made, and then turned it into a percentage because not everyone made the same number of predictions.
Yeah, so let's talk about these predictions, the final scores that we're seeing here, and we'll start from the lowest and go to the highest. How about that? All right. So in at number 4 with 0.75 out of 9 is me. Apparently, I know nothing about anything, and at 8.3% correct, that makes me very sad.
All these numbers are sad.
All those things. Look, I would have liked all those things to happen, but anyway. In at 14.7% with 2.2 out of 15 correct, Justin Masson, which just goes to show you made too many predictions.
Yeah, if you only got 2 out of 15, that's pretty bad.
Well,
See, I made the rounds.
You would have been up there in the 20s.
See, I know I would have done well. If I came on the prediction show, I would have done well. It was an issue because this year everybody was like, come on the prediction shows, come on the prediction shows. And I was out of town during the weeks I would normally come on, either Nintendo Dads or Game Explain or whatever. So I wasn't able to do all the normal shows that I do predictions for. So like Spawn Wave grabbed me on an off week, and Break Room Arcade grabbed me, and Josh grabbed me one week. And I pretty much stuck to the same predictions on every single one. And I feel like I did pretty good because I'd mentioned in all of those videos that it was going to start and end with the Smash reveal. It was going to start with Dragon Quest and end with Banjo-Kazooie. So I think that's pretty good. I specifically said a Microsoft character, so I even made it a little looser for myself because I honestly didn't think it was going to be Banjo. I thought it was going to be like Steve or maybe Master Chief or something like that. So real happy about that. But I think the one thing that nobody predicted, that I certainly didn't predict, was Breath of the Wild 2 being announced. Did any of you guys pick that?
No one picked that.
Like, what in the world? Yeah.
No one picked Zombie Ganondorf. I promise you.
No.
Coming in at 20.8%, and in number 2, second place, Tim Off with 2.5 out of 12. There, 20.8. That's a pretty respectable score considering that.
And he has the highest raw score.
Yeah, he does have the highest raw score. So that at least we could give him props for that.
Yeah.
But coming in at 1.8 out of 8 at 22.5%, our winner of this year's E3 prediction show, Mr. Jesse Waldack.
Just because I didn't have any, I couldn't come up with more than 8 predictions. I would love to bring my
which
percent
ones did
down.
You get right?
I don't even remember. I have to look, but
and you gave me like 3/4 of one. I don't even remember which one that one is.
Well, we gave away fractions. Like if we said like 3 small things within one bullet, and we got 2 out of the 3 things right, then we gave you 2/3 of a point. So that's how those fractions got in there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the fraction of a point. Otherwise, I would have been 0.
I was just real shocked. There were 2 things in particular I really thought we were going to see. I was gung-ho. I said this on like every discussion. I thought for sure we were going to get Mario and Rabbids 2. I thought that was going to be announced.
I think that was Marty's and Justin said the same thing.
Because last year we got Donkey Kong Adventure DLC for it. We know they're going to be making another game of that engine because we know Starlink didn't do that well. And obviously they're willing to make more. So I thought, no brainer, they're going to announce that this year, and they didn't. And the other big one that I was shocked didn't happen was another Microsoft-related thing, which is because Cuphead obviously has been doing so well on Switch, and because last year, at last E3, they announced they were doing DLC for it, I predicted that we were going to see the Cuphead DLC, the first gameplay of the Cuphead DLC, at either Microsoft's or the Nintendo Direct, and we didn't get that either. So no Cuphead and no Mario and Rabbids was a huge shock to me. I literally had my Cuphead statues at the ready on my desk. I had Cuphead Mugman ready to go for the live reaction, just like I had Banjo up there. So that was really a shock to me.
I'm going to be honest with you that the absence of the Cuphead DLC, I mean, it was announced a year ago, and we've heard or seen nothing. I'm kind of disappointed.
I'm worried. I'm worried. Yeah, because Cuphead
You're
was delayed
worried.
for years. Yeah, I'm worried that the DLC isn't going to come for another like year and a half. Like where
Oh,
it'd be too
wow.
late. Yeah.
Like, we'll see Breath of the Wild
Hmm.
2 before we see Cuphead.
Well, maybe not Breath of the Wild 2, but I think we'll probably see another trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 before we get the Cuphead DLC.
Because I'm thinking Breath of the Wild 2, we're not going to see that until like late 21.
Oh yeah, I would say March 2021 at the earliest, at the absolute earliest. Yeah.
You really think so? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think next time, I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit, I'm sure, a little bit later. But
I think
for
we'll see
me,
Metroid 4 first.
Same. I think next year the big focus is going to be Metroid Prime 4, and I think probably Splatoon 3, because now that they're wrapping up the Final Fest and they're already sort of setting up with the chaos and order things, it seems very similar to the first Splatfest, where they had Callie and Marie, and then whoever won from that like went on to change the story for the second one. I think the same thing's going to happen for the third game. That like if Chaos wins, then we're gonna have to bring order to this world in Splatoon 3, and if order wins, we're gonna have to shake things up a little bit with some chaos when that game starts. So
Yeah,
that's my guess.
I'm. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from there. I really thought that we would see Splatoon 3 at E3.
Oh
like,
no,
I thought for sure
it was way
just like
too
the
late
final
this year.
teaser, like
No.
like when they dropped the Smash teaser. I thought
Yeah.
that we would see at least 3 is
Yeah.
coming.
I think the
Yeah,
Breath
no,
of the
I'm
Wild
working
teaser
on it.
would have been is much
It's
more
kind of like how
impactful.
they did the Breath of the Wild 2
Yeah, I
teaser,
agree.
and it was like, oh, Breath of the Wild 2 is in development. I thought they might have said Splatoon 3 is in development. So
Yeah. See, I think they want to avoid that while they're still making content for Splatoon 2. You got to remember, it's been a year since they've done anything with Breath of the Wild.
yeah,
So I think they do want at least a little bit of a gap before they do that. I mean, I could honestly see them teasing Splatoon 3 like how you're talking about in like the January-March directive next year with the
Oh,
full-on
yeah, you're
reveal at E3 and then like a release maybe in fall. But I think Splatoon 3, Metroid Prime 4, maybe even Bayonetta, I think those will be the big heavy hitters next year. And I still fully believe next year is going to be Mario Odyssey 2. We haven't seen anything about it, but I think they're doing the same thing with that like they are with Breath of the Wild 2, where they're going to make a new game in that engine. And I think Odyssey is going to be a big
I mean,
thing.
it's a money machine. Why not?
Exactly. 2D Mario this year. Last year was a 3D Mario, so they just switch off back and forth.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the case.
Yeah. So those are our scores from E3 predictions. Let's dive into new news. How about that?
Okay.
Big news this week was that Dr. Mario World, which we knew was coming this year, finally got a release date as well as trailer, which featured gameplay and a breakdown of how the game would be played, including some pretty surprising details of the game. It is going to be Android and iOS only. This is going to release on July the 10th of this year, which, I mean, that's actually fairly soon. I did not expect it to be that soon. I honestly,
3 weeks.
I
Yeah, it's pretty
expected
soon. Yeah.
I actually expected that we would see Mario Kart Tour before this.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought Dr. Mario World would have been the kind of the end of the year mobile game or something like that, like in the fall. However, this does make me think that we're not going to see Mario Kart Tour for a while.
Yeah.
Even though it said summer, I think summer to Nintendo is the end of August.
Early September, end of August,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because that Mario Kart beta or alpha, maybe, since it didn't even have the online,
Right.
they probably definitely learned things, and it wouldn't surprise me if they want to push that back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is going to come out July 10th, and right now you can actually pre-register for the game or pre-purchase it. It's free, so you don't have to purchase it. But what you can do is you can actually go into the App Store on iOS or Google Play and actually hit the button that says pre-release or pre-register, and it will notify you when the game is ready.
Yeah, I was told that, at least with Google Play, it will automatically download it when it's released. I have iOS, so we'll find out. Well,
Who knows?
I did the same procedure, so I'll either get notified or it'll just be there when I wake up.
I remember
August
that
10th.
the people who requested pre-notification for or notification when Mario Run came out, like some of them never got it.
I don't think I did, but that was a relatively new feature to iOS, so I think that was still flaky. But
Yeah, they may improve that.
this has
in
been 4
13.
years, 3 or 4 years now, hasn't it? Since then, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's At least 3.
Probably 3.
It's
Yeah,
funny
3
because
years.
you guys were talking about Dr. Mario World and stuff and other places to find information. And they also just launched their Twitter account. They have Dr. Mario World English and then the Japanese account. And these little clips they're showing with the viruses are actually pretty cute. Like
Yeah,
they're
I like
little 15-second skits. They're
I
really
li-
well animated. And they're
I like
funny.
the animated, and then like a stack of 2 reds will touch the red microphone, and boop, they're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It disappears. Yeah,
So
it's cute.
the gameplay is a match 3 puzzle game in which you are given a set number of capsules to or pills or whatever you want to call them to defeat all of the viruses on screen. You can use familiar Dr. Mario mechanics like the cascade, where you can get 3 of, and it's no longer 4 in a row. It's 3 in a row. So if there's like
Right.
2 viruses, you can use 1 blue, or if there's 1 virus, you can use 2 blue capsules on top of that and cascade down. But it also adds in other elements from other Mario games and also new things that we've not been seen before. Koopa shells will go across the screen and break blocks and kill viruses. There's bombs. There was one where you have to get to a key and unlock certain viruses so before you can bust them. I think I saw frozen ones in another area. But a couple of interesting things I wanted to pull out of this trailer. Number one, there are definitely different colored viruses that we have not seen before.
Yeah.
So there's, and I think they're on the website as well. If you look, that there is a green virus and a purple virus.
So cyan and magenta have actually, I think, been in the series before, but they've
Oh,
been
really?
in but they've been in the weird puzzle collections that were on. I think there was one that was on N64 or GameCube, and I
Okay.
think they were in that game. And hold on, so let me check real quick. And the only reason I
Yeah,
even
well-
know that is because I was looking up Dr. Mario stuff earlier today. It was either the one that was on GameCube or Miracle Tour or something. But they were
yeah,
definitely in one.
there's
before.
some
Yeah, yeah.
there's a few Dr. Mario games that I have not played.
Yeah,
The cyan and magenta appear in the Wii U game Dr. Luigi.
there you go. There you go. I knew they were.
So
in something.
they are there and they're making a return. Also, interesting that that this popped up and they feature it kind of prominently in the trailer. That Dr. Mario is not alone in his medical practice any longer.
No.
Now there is Dr. Luigi, Dr. Bowser, Dr. Peach, and a host of others.
Little Dr.
as well as-
Toad. How could you forget Dr.
Yeah.
Toad with his little
Dr.
knapsack?
Toad,
He's
I'm sorry.
adorable.
I'm sorry. Dr. Toad's there, but you can also develop combinations of these characters that will use their unique powers to help each other and benefit each other. So I'm going to guess some of these are going to be probably paywalled. Some of these are going to be available from the beginning. Some of these are going to be event related. Probably knowing Nintendo. Well, I don't know with them having to pull things out of, was it Belgium or the Netherlands that they're having to
Belgium,
stop
I
doing?
think.
Belgium. Yeah, yeah.
So probably not going to be a gotcha mechanic,
Probably
right?
not.
So
Well, they can
probably
still do
something
gotcha
with-
mechanics as long as it's not related to money. Like
Yeah, I can't imagine they would
like
do
Candy
a gotcha
Crush
mechanic.
Friends kind of has a similar thing of how you gain more characters that has
Mm.
different abilities. Like you can't just buy them
Mm.
with money if you wanted to, but like as you play, you earn these boxes that'll have pieces that will be randomized.
I
So
do like
it's-
Dr. Bowser's design though. Looking at him right now on
Kinda
the
gets around
website,
it.
he looks pretty cool.
Yeah, Dr. Bowser looks pretty
Yeah.
cool. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I'm
The
kind of excited about Dr. Bowser.
the chat's already talking about a Dr. Bowsette that they want.
There you go.
I mean, fine.
Dr. Bowser.
Hey,
Hey, do it.
That way she's worked into a game, somewhere.
I like it. I like it.
Well,
I've always been a pretty big fan of Dr. Mario. I
Yeah.
like those games. It's weird. They always get re-released near the end of a console's life cycle. And then I go, okay, well, I don't really care about this. And then I download it and I play it. And I'm like, I'm sitting there for about 2 hours or so. And I play Dr. Mario and go, I forgot how fun this could be.
yeah,
And then I
kinda
forget
fall
about
down
it.
the
And
rabbit
every
hole
time the new
sometimes.
game comes out, and I'm like, I don't care about this. And then the cycle continues. So
Yeah. I'm really excited that this is going to be a mobile game. That's something I can take with me. I think this is this is one of those mobile releases I look at. I'm like, this is definitely in Nintendo's wheelhouse.
Yeah, for sure.
It's brilliant for them because as we started talking about Nintendo on mobile back when they first made the announcement and they first partnered with DNA and all that to get these games out there, did any of us think Dr. Mario?
I definitely
Probably
thought
not.
I thought Puzzle League was going to be one of them. I specifically thought that like Tetris Attack Puzzle League would be
Yeah.
because puzzle games make sense for mobile, but certainly not Dr. Mario.
No. I mean, everybody's mind immediately went to Mario, Metroid,
WarioWare was the big one.
WarioWare.
Yeah,
WarioWare
WarioWare.
make a great mobile game, and if
Yeah.
I swear to you, if they don't make one for the Switch, oh my gosh.
They'll make one eventually, I'm sure.
You know each one of those has had something to do with the unique gimmick of the system.
Mm.
If it was, there's touched, there's the what was the one on Wii? I always forget the name.
One on Wii.
The waggle. You had all the stances.
Oh yeah. Not WarioWare Shake It. It's Shake It's the Wario Land game.
You know which one? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. There's WarioWare Twisted.
Smooth Moves.
Smooth Moves. Okay, so the newest one, they just need to develop games that have you take off the Joy-Con for some reason.
Yeah, there you go.
Like to peel a banana. Click.
Take it off. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. But like I never had thought Dr. Mario. Like Mario Kart, sure, Animal Crossing, sure, I get it. But there's that looming specter of the Zelda game that was announced for mobile. Like, oh yeah, we're developing a Zelda game, and then it's never happened. But this fits. Like this is something I look at and go, okay, this is natural. It's not shoehorned in. There's not a whole lot of modifications that have to be made to the Dr. Mario system. The only thing that I worry about is for tons of people who've played Candy Crush, that number one, it gets extremely addictive. But number two, there are some levels of that you just go, there's no way I can beat this without spending money, right?
Yeah.
Unless you just get absolutely super lucky. And I know that's where they're going with it. I just wish they wouldn't. Like have a couple of modes, like maybe have the campaign mode, but also have it where I can just play Dr. Mario, and not worry about whatever. It's kind of like Tetris 99. Like now they've given you the option to spend money to just play Tetris.
Yeah.
Just like you want to. So I would like if they want to have me spend $4.99 or $6.99 or whatever to do that, I'm more than glad to do that on my phone. I'll give Nintendo my money. I give Nintendo a lot of my money. So this is something I would give them money for. But it's going to be interesting to see how this. Of course, it's going to launch and it's going to be free to play, freemium. It'll be interesting to see how they try to monetize it. They've already mentioned stamina.
Yep.
So that's going to be one obvious way that they do it.
I think it'll just be pretty much Candy Crush like. Buy premium currency to refill your hearts if you don't want to wait, or buy an extra few moves, things like that.
And see, for me, I'm glad that that's probably the direction they're going in, because I already played Dragalia and I play Fire Emblem Heroes, and I'm already.
You don't want a third gacha game?
No, thank you. No, it's like between Dragalia, and I literally play them every day. I wake up in the morning, turn them on, play for about 20 minutes, do all my dailies in Fire Emblem, do all my dailies in Dragalia, and I actually have a third game too. It's not a Nintendo game. One Piece Treasure Cruise, and I do all the dailies in that too. So I go through literally all three of them. I cannot afford another gacha game on my phone. I can't do it. So if it's just Happy Little Dr. Mario and they go, oh, you're out of stamina for the day, I'll go, okay, well, I'm out of stamina for the day. I'll log in tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or I'll pop it back on tonight.
Exactly. Unless they make Nurse Peach look real cute or something, or like Bowsette, Dr. Bowsette or whatever, then I might have to do some gacha pull.
Yeah, someone in the chat said that Dr. Peach was waifu worthy.
Oh yeah, Dr. Peach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dr. Peach looks awesome on the.
So
yeah, I guess she did get an upgrade, right? Because she was Nurse Peach in the old games. So now
right.
she's Dr. Peach.
She has now gone to medical school. Equality,
and they're asking now for as a replacement Nurse Waluigi.
I'm down with Nurse Waluigi. I'm all for that gender equality. Let's do this.
That was Mecha Dragon.
And Scrubs.
I like it.
I see it. Wow. Holding a bedpan. Poor guy. Waluigi is the Rodney Dangerfield of the Mario series. He gets no respect. let's move on. Let's talk about Animal Crossing. There's been Animal Crossing has been in the news a lot this week for a lot of things, a lot of back and forth on the game and the delay and everything from last week's E3. But more news is kind of coming out about the game as we go along, and just a couple of things I wanted to mention here. It seems like one of the reasons for the delay that Nintendo is pointing to is the dreaded term crunch as it pertains to developers. In other words, that time when developers basically spend upwards of 80 to 90 to 100 hours a week working on a game. They don't see their families. They don't go home. They barely sleep. And Doug Bowser and even I think Al Numa related some thoughts over this week about crunch, and basically what their sentiment was we consider our developers too important and their families too important to allow that to happen. Which, may I say, as a video game fan, I love and I hate that statement at the same time. If I'm being honest, okay, again, and allow me just a minute here. Let me be honest. I love that statement because I love that Nintendo values its employees. I love that they want them to have a work-life balance. I want to have a work-life balance. I love, I talk to people about that all the time, about, making time for your family and spending time for yourself and doing things like that. On the other hand, I really want to play Animal Crossing. And so there's that selfish part of me that goes, oh yeah, crunch it.
See, that was the one game announcement. I even brought this up on a lot of those prediction videos that I thought for sure Animal Crossing was going to get delayed to 2020 because I didn't watch. I should say I live read the live blog from the presser that happened while I was in Japan in April, where they talked about their fiscal reports and games that were coming out. And Animal Crossing had a TBA for the year. It was just 2019, but it sounded like because we haven't seen anything about it, and at the time we had seen stuff for all the 2019 games, it did seem to me like if anything was going to get delayed, it would be Animal Crossing. And realistically, looking at this year and looking at everything Nintendo's got with Luigi's Mansion, and they've got the new Pokemon games, it really did seem to me, and Mario Maker too, obviously they're going to make a huge push for that in the holidays as well. That's a big summer game, but I think we're going to get bundles for that with whatever the Switch Mini is going to be later on in this fall or in December. So to me, it made sense that their big spring game would then become Animal Crossing, because right now that's sort of this open territory for them. We know a lot of stuff's going to get announced at E3 next year. Bayonetta might be a summer game, but realistically we don't know what's coming in the spring. And so I sort of thought early on we were going to get in 2020. I was bracing for it, despite how much I love Animal Crossing. And I'm right there with you. Part of me is impatient. I just want to play it, but also, if it's for the best for the families of the employees, I actually think that's an okay thing. I could give up Animal Crossing for an extra 3 months or so, because we wouldn't have been playing this until December anyway. So,
as a software developer, I'm fully endorse this. And while we don't have months-long crunch like game developers do, we might have maybe 2 nights of crunch before a big release.
Exactly.
And so I know how it feels. It's just but still, it's only 2 days versus months.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, some dev companies are doing this for weeks at a time, and it's not healthy. And well,
sorry, I had something in my throat. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that you got that stuck in your throat there.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yako Warner says Animal Crossing, no national gyroid decks.
Hey, Roger, just be sure not to swallow any more of those surprise bonuses.
I won't.
Right.
I'll just have some water. I'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be fine.
Surprise mechanics.
No, I mean, and let me clarify. Right. I want to be sure that people understand that, yes, I was saying that, it sucks that we're not playing it right now. But the biggest part of me is saying, good on you, Nintendo, for not allowing that to be part of your company culture.
For sure.
That's so much. Although, on that note, there is sad news to report. There's very sad news that we must bring to you tonight on Nintendo Day. That is that our good friend from Animal Crossing, Mr. Resetti, he's lost his job.
So I'm gonna stop you right there, because I heard this news story earlier this year. I think that Mr. Resetti lost his job as the reset person, because it doesn't matter, autosaves now. However, I think Rossetti's going to be the owner of some new type of facility in this Animal Crossing game. That's sort of like Isabelle, where, Isabelle was your assistant as the mayor, but they already went on record on Treehouse being like, don't worry, Isabelle's coming back. Isabel's going to come back. Don't you worry about a thing. I think we're going to see that with Mr. Rossetti, too.
So
there's no way they cut Rossetti.
You know what I think he's going to be doing? He's going to be standing in front of a magical gate, and behind that gate are acres and acres of clouds, and he's simply going to be blocking your way to it. And he's just going to, when you try to talk to him, he's just going to shake his head.
He's going to block your way.
I'm using this as a segue to talk about the next part of this, and that is that the developers of Animal Crossing caught major flack this week for announcing that there will be no cloud saves for the game at all.
Yeah.
Due to Nintendo's concern about time manipulation in the game.
See, that is a big problem. I thought the direction you were going with that for a second was the whole thing where they said they are not going to be able to have 2 towns or 2 islands on one system, which I'm perfectly fine with because that's never been the case before unless you had different memory cards in the GameCube. Like, you would only be tied to one village. So that's not something that bothers me. But this cloud save thing really does, because if something is to happen to my Switch, I don't want to lose all of my hundreds of hours that I'm putting into these villages if, someone happens to steal it or something like that. And I know you can transfer it from one Switch to another like you can with Splatoon, but that's not the same thing as saving it in the cloud. And I do really hope they reconsider this. So.
I understood the argument when it came to Pokemon, because
right.
that is a competitive environment.
Right.
And they have a reason to want to stave off cheaters.
Right.
But what's the harm in this? It's a
Yeah,
single-player game.
No one's playing competitive Animal Crossing
Right.
that I know of. So.
And I even lost my save
before anyone else.
And I even lost my save in Let's Go and had to start over.
Oh, man.
When I was literally 1 week away from filling my decks, and I had to start over.
Terrible.
Yeah, so let's think about this. What are the games right now that we know of that are not going to support or are not going to support cloud saves?
Splatoon 2,
Animal
Pokemon.
Crossing, Splatoon 2, Pokemon,
and
Let's
Crossing.
Go, and
Sword and Shield.
Another one? Sword and Shield are not going to do it either.
I don't think so.
Most likely,
Let's
for the
Go
same same reasons as Let's Go.
Yeah.
Well, and we're going to talk about Let's Go here in just a minute. With
does Smash Brothers? Can you cloud save Smash Brothers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So I think that what the gripe is here with this, and just, I know we kind of circle back to this a lot, is that other companies have figured this out.
Yeah.
With competitive games, other companies have got this.
Yeah, they save the data on their own servers.
Right. And again, we're paying for an online service that is not affording servers for Nintendo. Like we've kind of, like with the Nintendo Switch Online, we've kind of taken one step forward and 2 steps back. It's like we've gone, we're doing this, we've got a few things, we're doing this new thing, but we're also not going to allow you to save some of our most important games, especially games. I mean, like, people are going to spend hundreds of hours on Animal Crossing, and you're going to tell me that if I'm out somewhere and somebody accidentally knocks their coffee over on my Switch, which is meant to be portable, if they accidentally knock their coffee over on my Switch, I have spent 300 hours of my life and I don't get it back.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you a very scary story. This was true story. This is something that happened to me. When I first moved to LA, this was in 2014, I had my Wii U with me, and I had 3 games in particular that I spent a lot of time on in Wii U. That was Xenoblade Chronicles X, Super Smash Brothers, and Monster Hunter Tri-Ultimate. Those 3 games. I had well over like 100, 200 hours in all those games. And because the games were so big and because I liked having things digitally, I had a separate external hard drive to save the data in. And I thought, oh, well, this will definitely back it up. This will be fine. However, the Wii U had an issue where if there was a power surge, it would fry the data in any external hard drive, no matter whether or not the hard drive was, approved by Nintendo, whatever. And while I was moving from my first apartment, when I first moved in 2014, I then moved to the building I'm in now in 2016. I got everything here safe and sound. No furniture got broken. Nothing got hurt except for the hard drive attached to my Wii U, because when I unplugged the Wii U from the socket in the old house, the hard drive was still attached to the Wii U system, and it fried all of my data for Xenoblade, which was over at least 100, 200 hour game save, almost 100%ed Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Ouch.
Plus all of my hunter data on Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, which, I mean, I was like the highest HR rank you could get in that game. I had almost every single armor set. It was an absolute mess, and it really scarred me for life. And then I had to unlock all the characters again in Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS, so that was not fun. Not fun.
You know, there's an alternate way to fix this, and I know that people, as soon as I say this, they're going to be like, you know, but I don't care. The alternate way to fix this is, yes, it's going to store on the system save, you know, on the space on the system. Allow us to save it to the micro SD card.
Oh yeah. Well, I think
allow us to make a backup. Allow us to be able to remove the media so that if my Switch does die because of a spilled glass of water or something, I still have my save file right here.
Can you not do that with Splatoon or Pokemon?
No, you can't save any save files to the micro SD card.
Really?
It's all to the internal memory.
Oh, that sucks then.
Yeah, and as of today, we are firmware 8.1.0. By the way, this is the new update that just came out, which is
Still
just
no
ability
themes.
stuff.
Still don't have any themes.
We're
no
eight. We're 8 versions of firmware into this, and the only option we have to save files is still the 32 gigabyte system storage. It makes absolutely no sense. I mean, you could do this with the Wii and the Wii U.
Yeah.
Why have we regressed?
I don't know.
It boggles my mind sometimes that like they get like, I love Nintendo. Hear me when I say that. Like, I love this company. I wouldn't be on this podcast if I didn't.
I was gonna say you're on a podcast called Nintendo Dads. I think it'd be a problem if you didn't like Nintendo.
I love this company. I'm like, there's no other video game company that I follow as closely as Nintendo, that I've spent as much money on, that I've been devoted to. Here's the thing. Like, sometimes they just make decisions that make me go, it's like, you know, watching your kid lick a glass window pane and you're just going, oh my gosh. You know, I love that, but it's stupid. You know, like, I don't get it. I don't understand, like, cause it's very simple that, like, surely they can implement it. You know, it's like, I know it's probably a lot more complicated than flip the switch and let us save it on the micro SD card, but like, guys, we're 2.5 years into this now.
It does seem like it's the simple things that they're not doing anything right. And they're getting some of the more complicated stuff dead on.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, and I just wonder if it's just that, and I hate to say it this way because I know somebody may, like, is it just that, like, nobody's brought it up to them? Because you remember a few years ago when they were like, have you guys never played anything on Xbox Live or PS, you know, PlayStation Network? And they're like, no, why would we do that? I just wondered, can somebody bring that up to Nintendo of Japan? Like, hey, have you ever thought about letting people save on this little thing that you put in there that you can save games to, but not the save data for the games?
Yeah, it seems strange.
I just think that would fix it. It would fix this thing and write a line of code in there that just basically says, you know, it can't be manipulated.
Yeah.
You know, you can't manipulate time.
Yeah.
And if it does, you know, I think it would be great. And look, I have manipulated time in Animal Crossing. I'm guilty.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Well, but you know why I did it? The only reason I ever did it was not to go forward. It was always to go backward because I would forget that I needed to do something. So I would need to go backward to be sure. Because, like, I'm not always accessible right when I need that time.
You forgot
right?
to sell your turnips?
Yeah, or something. But I never went forward. But, like, just write it in there. Like, if you manipulate time, it's going to erase your game.
Yeah.
You can do that.
That's where Rossetti could pop up.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, I can see it now. Oh, you manipulated your time. Guess what? It's an image of him flushing your save file down the toilet. There you go. I love it. One thing that Roger did allude to just a minute ago that we do want to bring up for just a minute is that it was announced today as well. And I'm looking at a news report here from AnimalCrossingWorld.com, which is one of the biggest Animal Crossing websites, that you can only have one Animal Crossing New Horizons island per Nintendo Switch system. Let me read that again. Right. That only one island per system, not per save file per Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's something that they've never done before, because they've always let every profile have its own save state for every game.
Yes.
So it looks
right, with the memory cards and with everything. I do wonder, though, again, if this had something to do with that manipulation that you were talking about before. I'm sure it has to. You know, I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, though, too, considering it's like we've all said, oh, we want multiple people to be in our towns. I feel like that's not going to be that big of a deal, right? Your kids could be in your town. You could be in your town. If they want to mess it up, you're just going to have to clean up their mess.
Yeah, so this news comes from an excerpt from an interview with IGN by one of the developers of the game. And I want to read this to you verbatim so that there's no confusion about this. He says, then when it comes to online and local wireless, up to 8 players can be on an island.
Right.
This is doubled from New Leaf's previous 4-player limit. And though there is a travel theme to New Horizons, Kyogoku confirmed that you can't set up a tent on a friend's island. However, he told IGN that you can make up to 8 playable accounts on one Nintendo Switch, and they will be able to live on the same island.
Right.
You cannot have multiple islands, however.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, normally when you launch a game, it then asks what profile do you want, and then it launches the game.
Right.
Arcade Archives, and I've never really fully understood why. Maybe this is it. You launch the game first, and then when you say start, then it asks what profile.
It does do that. Yeah, it does.
I wonder if that's the same thing now. So,
but here's where the problem is with this. Okay, like I'm going to throw this out here because we've just talked about cloud saves, right? So compare this to 3DS and compare this to what most people are going to be familiar with, because what have we been playing Animal Crossing on most over the last 7 years?
Right.
3DS. Okay, so on the 3DS, a physical copy of New Leaf stores its save file where?
On cart.
Onto the cart.
Onto the cart.
Yeah.
So if my 3DS breaks, what can I do?
Well, you could take your town and everything and then move it to the next
system. You can take it to the new 3DS.
Right.
But with the Nintendo Switch version of Animal Crossing, every game's save file is only stored where?
Internally on the system.
Locally on the system's internal storage, not on the game cart, which means that your Switch, your island is locked to that Switch.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to even transfer it to, like, on a profile level to another Switch like you can with Pokemon.
Right.
It's stuck there.
Yeah. The only other game in the Animal Crossing history to operate in this manner, according to this article, was Animal Crossing City Folk on the Wii. And so, I don't see it being like, I see it's not a big issue, but I also see it is a big issue, because if my kids are going to want to play this game,
sure,
I don't want them to make changes to my island, and they're going to play it without, there's going to be times when I'm not around. I would ideally like to play it with them, but there's going to be times I'm not around, and they're going to be tempted to do something like, I don't know,
chop down your trees or take
chop
all
down
your
trees or do anything like that. And so what Nintendo is now saying is, if you want to have a separate island for your kids or your wife or your significant other, whoever that may be, we have a solution for that. It's a $360 solution called Buy Another Switch and Another Copy of the Game.
Well, I think you're forgetting one big thing, which is that I think by the time this game comes out, the Switch Mini will be a thing. I mean, there was just that report from that Chinese manufacturer where they're already making the accessories, and you could literally see what the Switch Mini looks like, and it's exactly what everyone's been saying. It's a Switch without Joy-Cons that you could take off. It's just a single handheld thing. So to me, if they're going to make that the budget Switch, right, and they're going to release that as this is Switch Mini, this is for children, it's not going to be as big of a deal if your kids drop it. I could see them bundling it with Animal Crossing or doing something to that extent with maybe Pokemon as well, with those kind of games where a lot of these things are saved on the system level, and it's a good alternative to then say, okay, well, if you want your own island kids here, you could have the Switch Mini. And I think it'll be a lot cheaper than $300.
It will be, yeah, it'll be a lot cheaper. But I don't think that we can. I don't think that we can let bad design decisions off the hook so easily as saying go buy a Switch Mini and another copy of.
Sure.
Like,
but
there's got to be a point.
I agree. You don't have to let them off the hook, but I'm saying I think the reason for doing that on their part is to sell Switch Minis. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's excusable, but I think that's why they're doing it.
No, I get it. I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I just think that there's got to be some point where, like, all of the people who usually, are like, yay, Nintendo, a good number of us start saying, hey, guys, we're not mad, or, but like maybe you want to rethink some of these decisions. And we've seen this happen, and we're seeing it happen in real time with Mario Maker 2.
Well, I think the thing with Mario Maker 2 was that people were very open about it and outspoken about it, and so they changed it. But what I thought you were going to bring up is Pokemon Sword and Shield. Because after Masuda made those comments about how the whole National Dex isn't going to be coming back for the next game, this is the biggest backlash I've ever seen in the history of me working in the video game industry prior to even VG Tribune. I mean, I've seen Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7, and now Gen 8, and it's really crazy.
So
to see the way
so let's dive in and let's talk about that for a minute. I'm glad you brought that up. Because, what's funny about this is these are two of the biggest games, the most anticipated games that Nintendo has coming out for this console. And both of them are making what seem to be very similar missteps.
Yeah.
And so just to rewind here, enlighten us a little bit if we haven't heard what the controversy is.
So basically every game up to this point with Pokemon, you get your Pokedex for the region in the game, and then when you beat the game, you unlock the National Pokedex, which allows you to transfer in Pokemon from all the previous generations. And they just had the Pokemon press conference a couple weeks before E3 talking about there's this new Pokemon Home app where you could bring things from all the games in the 3DS, all the Go and Let's Go, and Sword and Shield. You could transfer all your Pokemon into Home and then transfer them all directly into Sword and Shield. So we all assumed, the entire National Dex is going to be in the game. But according to Masuda and the talk during Treehouse Live, that will not be the case. You'll be able to transfer everything into Pokemon Home, but you will not be able to transfer everything from Pokemon Home into Pokemon Sword and Shield, which, okay, that's fair in a game like Let's Go, where it's just the Kanto Pokedex, but we assume because this is the mainline new Pokemon game, you should be able to bring everything over. And for me, personally, as somebody who plays competitive Pokemon, I actually think this is a good thing because we're not going to have Mega Kangaskhan's running wild and all this stuff breaking the meta early on, Landorus T and all these other things that have been breaking the meta. But I do think it is an issue for the people who don't play competitively, who just want to catch them all. And the tagline for Pokemon for all these years has been Pokemon, gotta catch them all. And now you're not going to be able to catch them all, which is a little weird. And they've clarified that they're going to be bringing in more Pokemon via those max raid battles in the wild area. And I assume that via DLC over the course of a couple years, all the Pokemon from the National Dex will eventually be available in Pokemon Sword and Shield. But to not have some of these Pokemon available now, like, I know personally, once I beat the main campaign of Sword and Shield, I really want to bring in my Pokemon Sun and Moon team. I want my Rowlet to come in. I want all my Sun and Moon Pokemon, and I want to bring in my Pokemon Let's Go team as well. And if I'm not able to do that into Sword and Shield, I think that's going to be a big dilemma. So that's sort of the big problem in the Pokemon community right now.
Can I play devil's advocate on this just a second?
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan. I have a passing interest in the series. I'm pretty familiar with Gen 1 Pokemon because, Gen 1 Pokemon came out when I was in college.
Right.
All right. So I didn't catch on to that craze as much as everybody else did. Because number one, I'd already moved on from my Game Boy a little bit. I was playing Ocarina of Time. It wasn't really a big deal, right? But I got into the trading card game a little bit. I've done some Pokemon. I get the whole gotta catch 'em all thing. I'm interested in Sword and Shield. I've already pre-ordered it. My son's getting Shield or a Sword. I'm getting Shield. So, is it not a little unfair to not come into this with the assumption that one day there would be a time where we would not be able to, quote, catch them all?
Well, I think, yes, we could expect that at some point,
as we get
one
to a
day
certain
we would get
number
to that.
of Pokemon.
Right. But I think what people have been expecting for such a long time is that when we eventually did hit that threshold, that would be the time where we eventually go, okay, here we go. Pokemon MMO, here's all the regions, here's all the Pokemon. We're not going to be adding new Pokemon this time around. It's now that everything's available from the start. Go have fun, free range adventure. There you go. Maybe a couple new ones here or there, but not a full-on new Pokedex. But as you mentioned, with the new full Pokedexes with the Galar region or like the previous regions, we should have expected that this was going to happen at some point. I think just people didn't expect it to be now because this is the first console Pokemon game. So you'd think, okay, maybe those limitations would happen with the 3DS. And, some of their excuses for this were, we're going to be working on high-quality animation for the Pokemon that are going to be in Sword and Shield. And yet we've seen the animations in Sword and Shield already, and they're not particularly impressive. And the ones that are being carried over from Let's Go, the original 151, they're using the same animations that they were using in Let's Go. And all the other previous generations of Pokemon have always used the same animations. The only one they didn't do this for with X and Y. X and Y, they had to build everything from the ground up. But then all the ones from X and Y got carried over into Sun and Moon. So it wasn't like, and realistically, the models for those characters are already pretty nice in Sun and Moon. You could just carry those over into Sword and Shield, and I don't really think people would have been that upset. But I think they maybe wanted to build from the ground up in the same way they did for X and Y, and then carry over these models from Sword and Shield into, the eventual Diamond and Pearl remake that'll be on Switch, and potentially the next generation, which will also be on Switch in maybe 4 or 5 years. And they want to carry all those over, which for that reason, I understand that they'd say, okay, we can't do all this right now because we really want this to come out this holiday. But they also released Let's Go last year. They had like the full extra year to then bring all the Pokemon in. So it's strange. It's admittedly very strange.
There's a couple of thoughts that I have in hearing you say that. Number one is that nowhere did they say, and just kind of to say this to the naysayers, nowhere did they say, this Pokemon is not going to be in Sword and Shield and we're going to forget them forever.
Right, exactly. I think that's why people are getting a little crazy about this, is I think eventually all of them will be in there. But I think what he's saying is that with this initial Pokedex, it's going to be restricted to just the Pokemon in that Sword and Shield Pokedex, and that maybe the National Dex isn't something that you unlock upon beating the champion, as you normally would in these games. It'll probably be something that's free DLC about a year later on down the line, which I think perfectly makes sense, and I think that'd be fine. But I think wording it in the way that they did during Treehouse Live is what got everybody in a tizzy. But I actually am in agreement with you. I think what's going to happen is that we're going to get this initial Pokedex. We play with this competitively for a year, and then they're going to just unlock it as free DLC and say, here you go, the National Dex is now available. I just don't think it's going to be something you unlock upon beating the champion now, which is also totally fine with me.
And something, too, that I think is important is that as we think about this, you were saying something about, we knew that there was going to be technical limitations or there was going to have to be a breaking point where this didn't. And I think that we need to look at this as that. They are transitioning to a new system. They're transitioning to better textures, better way of looking at the world, especially with trying out the wild area and different things like that. There's going to be some give and take that has to happen for some of this to occur. But also, in looking at this, like, I don't know, like, I'm not going to play and complete the National Dex. Like, I'm not going to do that in a Pokemon game. I don't have that much time. I have other games I'm going to need to play. I have other things I'm going to need to review. I get why it's a big deal, though, for some people. But, like, I think back to the initial, like, Pokemon on the Switch is coming. We haven't seen it yet. We haven't heard about it yet. There's no rumblings about it yet other than they're working on it. If you remember, there was an interview with Game Freak around that time, and they basically said this, and I think this was them alluding to this happening back even back then. They said that they were basically, the quote was, development is coming along, but we're finding it challenging to develop on the Switch.
Right, right. Well, it's their first main home console. Pokemon
Yeah,
release.
it's their first main home console.
Real core RPG release. They had
Yeah.
Pokemon Coliseum and XD, but those were different. And even those games
And
transferred
very
in
smaller
models from,
scale.
Yeah, and those games transferred in models from the N64 games very clearly. I mean, you could tell the models that were the Ruby and Sapphire models they made for GameCube, and then you could very clearly see they literally just took the models from the N64 games and put them in there. So,
I mean, you've got a company who's developed on primarily handheld
yeah,
for decades,
yeah.
and now you're saying you're gonna need to do something that's gonna show in at least 720p. You know,
I'll say
definitely
this,
it's gonna be 1080p.
I will say this. There's one game in particular that I think all the Pokemon are going to be in Sword and Shield from the get-go from this game, and I think that's Pokemon Let's Go. Because the game is already on Switch. They do already have the nice high-definition models for those characters, and because the original 150 are so iconic, and they've been doing so much in terms of, like, they have the Pokemon shirt line now, and they do so many things with the original 150, Detective Pikachu and stuff, I think those Pokemon are safe. I think if your favorite Pokemon is one of those initial 151, I think you're going to be okay, which is good for me, because my favorite Pokemon of all time, everybody knows this online, it's Lickitung. Lickitung, I think, is safe. I'm not worried about Lickitung coming back for Sword and Shield. I think he'll be A-okay. I think if you're a Pikachu fan, a Lickitung fan, a Fearow fan, Muck fan, whatever, I think your Pokemon's coming back. I think the main thing is that this is going to affect... Eventually. Yeah, I even think all the Pokemon that are in Go right now, meaning Gen 2 and Gen 3 and some of Gen 4, I think those will even be safe. I think the ones that will really be affected are going to be Gen 5, Gen 6, and Gen 7. So Sun and Moon, X and Y, Black and White. I think those are going to be the Pokemon we're going to see very few from those games, aside from the ones we've already seen in trailers for Sword and Shield. I think a lot of those Pokemon aren't going to be carried over, and that those will be the ones that will be saved for the National Dex later on. But I think because they already have the nice high-res models that we see in Go and in Let's Go, those will be a lot easier to carry over, especially because we already have animations for those Pokemon for Pokemon Go. So my guess would be that the first 4 generations are pretty much safe, and especially the 4th gen as well, because we know we're going to get a remake of Diamond and Pearl at some point on the Switch, just based on what they've been doing with every other system. We had Oris on 3DS, we had Heart Gold on DS, we had Fire Red Leaf Green on Game Boy. I think we will be getting remakes of those games eventually on Switch, and so it would make sense to already have those models ready to go for the Gen 4 Pokemon for Sword and Shield. So I think Gen 1, Gen 4, probably safe. Everything after that, it's kind of up in the air.
I did have a question about, because I played to the end of the credits roll, but I didn't really do much of the post game. But in Sun and Moon, did that have a National Dex in it?
So yeah, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and Sun and Moon both had National Dexes.
Okay. But how many Pokemon was in the regional? I'm thinking it was still like 300, wasn't it?
It was a lot, yeah, because there were 3 regional dexes. Remember, it was like split up.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they had the regional dex, which is broken up into sub-regionals.
Yeah, it was coastal, mountain, and then valley or something.
And there was some overlap. So if you count that Rattata in the first island, and when you opened the third one, it was already there.
Right.
Yeah, but
I think on the whole, it was like 300 something. So you know, to be honest, that was part of the appeal of Let's Go for me. I liked Let's Go, I think, more than most hardcore Pokemon fans. Let's Go is the first game in a long time, I think since the original Sun and Moon, that I caught everything in the Pokedex. I caught everything. I went and I traded online, battled, got everything, got every Mega Evolution, transferred my stuff from Go, did everything, including Meltan and Melmetal. I got everything in Let's Go.
Yeah, same here. I'm on a 153 out of 153.
Yeah, me too. And that was the fun of that game, right? Is that it was actually something you could do feasibly this time around. And I think if that's still the case with Sword and Shield, where it's going to be something feasible that you can catch everything in that dex, I'm actually okay with it, especially because in that first year, you know, I want a reason to come back to Pokemon eventually. I think that's been an issue with a lot of the Pokemon games in recent years, is there hasn't really been a post game. And so if the addition of the National Dex sort of adds a post game about a year in to Sword and Shield, I'm all for that, you know, to give me a reason to go back and play it again.
Maybe
See,
instead of the sister game, the third or fourth sister game,
Exactly.
a bigger DLC pack to the first two.
Exactly.
I think I'm kind of opposite of that. Like, I think if we're going to get to a point where we can have the national decks like everybody wants it, then from here on out, it just needs to be regional dexes only. Except expand those regional dexes to have some of the original, Pokemon or more familiar Pokemon.
Yeah.
I like instead of it being 200, make it 300, or something like that, and add in a sprinkling of Pokemon from others, and that way there's not this big outcry of blah 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 blah. And then just here's an idea: release all the games digitally that have existed. Allow all those Pokemon, update them. Allow all those Pokemon to come into Pokemon Home, and then make some kind of way for them to work. And all. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it was Gen 5. Didn't they do like almost a full reset where there was no previous?
So Gen 5
was other than Gen 5.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Other than Gen 5, that's been the MO. Here's a bunch of new ones, but here's some old ones too. And when it comes, so what I've been going off of, I think 300 in the regional decks last gen. My guess is they'll probably be in the 300 to 400 range anyway.
I agree.
And we're already in the low 800s, so we'll probably go into the 850s to 860s. So it'll still be almost half.
Oh yeah.
So there's going to be a lot to do.
And again, you think about a lot of the Pokemon that are sort of repeats too, that like we don't necessarily need, like, nobody's scrambling for Basculin or Love Disc, right? Nobody's like, I need Love Disc, I need Basculin. Nobody uses them on their teams. Nobody, I'm sure someone out there loves Maractus, right? Which is the cactus from Gen 5, but like most people probably don't care about Maractus. So there's a lot of, or even like the duplicates, right? Aggron, everybody loves Aggron, but I feel like
the people I raid with and Go,
really,
Aggron's a no.
Oh wow, Aggron's a pretty big deal. I would say like the duplicate, the birds of every region or the rodent of every region. Like we don't need all of them. And the ones that I think to me make the most sense in terms of not coming back for the decks for Sword and Shield would be the legendaries, right? Because the whole point of legendary Pokemon is that they're legendary, that they're for that region. So if we don't get Lugia or Ho or whatever, I'm sure we'll probably get Mewtwo because Mewtwo's in
the
every
Ultra
single
games kind of ruined that one. Just brought them all the way back in.
Right. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon was like, hey, let's just have wormholes that bring in all these legendaries, which I wasn't really a huge fan of when they did that anyway. But I certainly don't think we're going to be seeing Ultra Beasts in Sword and Shield anytime soon. I think those are probably stuck in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon for the time being.
I don't want an 8-foot-tall cricket.
Yeah, no. Though, to be fair, Buzzwole is pretty cool looking. I like Buzzwole.
Yeah, so that's your weekly dose of Pokemon over here. But I mean, I do think
if Justin was here, we'd have to shake him to wake him up.
Yeah, we'd wake him up. Let's talk about one more little newsworthy item here before we move on and discuss some things. It was revealed this week that Luigi's Mansion 3 was in early development for the Wii U.
Gee, I wonder why they canceled it and moved it to the NX.
Yeah.
Wow, I wonder.
But it was also spoken of in this kind of article or revelation that the new moves like the Slam and the Burst were actually programmed in and were working on the Wii U, which kind of leads me to believe that game was getting close to being done.
Well, I could go one step further and say if you went back to the Simon Belmont reveal trailer, you could see the plungers that Luigi uses in this game, which were not any.
How long did Sakurai say that he had been working on Smash Ultimate?
He was working on Smash Ultimate since 2015, and that reveal trailer came out in October of last year. So that was still a full like 4 or 5 months before we even got the initial reveal for Luigi's Mansion 3.
Right.
So they knew about the plunger, and the plunger's in Luigi's moveset in Smash Ultimate 2. It's not just in his trailer; it's in his moveset.
No, it's his moveset. So I mean, there was definitely something planned for Wii U.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be interesting on down the line here that games like this. That I wonder how many more we're going to get that we go, or that eventually comes out and goes, oh yeah, that's supposed to be for Wii U.
Well, I think Mario Tennis Aces was definitely that. I think Ultra Smash was basically a tech demo when they released that on Wii U, and I think Aces was supposed to be what the Wii U game was going to be, and they realized, well, Wii U's dying. We might as well just move the rest of our development to the next
It
system.
wouldn't surprise me if Animal Crossing originally was thought to be Wii U
I
as
I
well.
was
Just gonna
about to
say
say,
that
I
too.
think
Yep.
Animal
'Cause
Crossing
remember,
was definitely going to be a Wii U game.
It takes 3 to 4 years now to make a decent game.
Yeah.
The system isn't 3 years old yet.
No.
Everything that we're still seeing was started development in the Wii U era.
And if you remember, they had Animal Crossing Plaza that was on the Wii U, where they were like, "Oh, we're going to use this
Yep.
for a future game or whatever," and then nothing ever came of that. We got
Right.
Amiibo
And then they
Festival.
took it down real quick.
Right, exactly. So I
Just kidding.
think that was probably something that was being developed on Wii U as
So
well.
what's
Yeah.
fun about that is realizing that they've been able to give us some amazing experiences so far
Right.
with games like Breath of the Wild and everything, and they
Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
They were basically doing that on what was left of the Wii U's planned software cycle, which means they've not even begun to squeeze the Switch yet for what.
Yeah,
And you know
probably
Nintendo
2022
squeezes goodness out of their
20
system.
might or 2021, 2022 we'll start seeing games that were ground up Switch for the first time. And
Well, I mean, Breath of the Wild 2, right? That's ground up.
oh, it's
Nintendo
still
Switch
I'm
built.
sure it's still the same engine. I'm sure tweaked,
But-
but
Sure.
it has its roots in the Wii U.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely an engine and a system that was built for a different console. But
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Well, we know
Uh,
one game. We know one game for sure that's ground up for the Switch, and that's Metroid Prime 4, because they rebooted
yeah.
development
That's
entirely. So we know
very true.
that's a full-on Switch game.
They
That's
blew
true.
it up and started over.
Yeah.
Speaking of blowing it up and starting over, let's talk about, let's discuss some things, shall we? Yeah. Let's start with this question from Patreon Discord user Docad87. He asks us this. He says, one thing I noticed at E3 was Nintendo Online was not mentioned. We're coming up to a year of the service being around, and let's face it, it has not gotten better. Do we think Nintendo is actually putting any resources into this, or are we just going to have some trickle of NES games coming out? I feel with Nintendo Online, it's more of a tax than a service. What do the dads think? Roger, I'm going to throw this to you to begin with.
It's going to be real easy. This is what I'm going to say. You're not going to hear anything about Nintendo Switch Online until the fall direct, and they're going to go, guess what we're adding to Nintendo Switch Online? Super Nintendo games. And then the internet's going to go, oh my God, Super Nintendo games, that's amazing. And they'll be like, whoo, we bought ourselves another 6 months. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Hey, you also forgot the
guarantee it.
member, excuse me, the member exclusive controller reveal.
Oh,
That
right.
you can buy for
Oh, you can buy-
$75.
For $75, you can get the SNES controller, exactly. And what's this? Oh, Link to the Past? I got mine too, Jesse. I got it right here. I'll pull mine up for you right now. Look at this. Here we are. I'm right there with you, man. I'm one of those suckers. I got it right here. So,
Oh, yeah, I got mine. They're on the mantle at home.
I don't
But,
think mine are even charged anymore, but
but I think that's most likely what's going to happen. I don't think we're going to see anything else. Maybe themes. I'm still holding out for themes and for folders, but
Keep holding.
at this point, yeah, I think we're not going to hear anything. We're going to have lots of debate videos coming out still for the next 3 months of Spawn Wave and Game Explained and all the other news sites going, maybe there's going to be some new Nintendo Switch Online thing. Oh, we found all this new stuff in the code.
But
for
I
it,
mean,
and it's gonna be
here's the thing. Let's go
Nintendo
back.
games.
Let's go back to that. We found this. I mean, like, there is actual literal like footage that exists out there where people recorded that they were able to go in and see this in the code.
What, the Super Nintendo
Like,
games, you mean?
like the games were listed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
so,
there's already
like,
been
we
a Best
know
Buy
that-
posting for Link to the Past, so we know at the minimum Link to the Past is going to be on
Yeah,
there.
like we
Yeah.
know that they're out there. We know this is being thought of. We know
Right.
this is being talked about. Why it's been delayed, we don't know.
Yeah.
But it's out there. But I will say that, like, at this point where we're almost a year into it, right? Like, we're almost a year into the online thing. It'll be September of this year. I would like to see Nintendo at least talking about, like, in the future we plan for our own servers. In the future we plan for and like, just come out and say it. Of course, consumers, this will drive the price up, but you'll get a much better quality product.
Mm.
Like, there's got to be some, and I know that I don't know if it was Nintendo of Japan or Nintendo of America that were recently was hiring someone to like head up their online, like within the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I would hope that would translate to some help there.
Here's the one thing. Here's the one little extra thing that I think they might do, because it worked with Tetris 99 and it got people to forgive it for a while. I could see them alongside whatever the Super Nintendo game is, or the Super Nintendo online entertainment, whatever they call it for the NES. It's the Super Nintendo version. Along that, I could see them developing another exclusive game for the Nintendo Switch Online, similar to Tetris 99, maybe like a smaller eShop thing, like a Ice Climbers remake or like a City Trial thing or something. I could see them doing some type of
another
eShop
Four Swords
exclusive,
remake.
something like that. Exactly. I could see them doing something like that for Switch Online, which will then get people really talking about it and make it more of a proposition. But I think more so than servers or other things that people really seem to want, I think it's more going to be like, look at all these games you get for free by paying for online, more so than look at the high quality servers that we have. I think more than anything else, they want it to be a value proposition for families to say, hey, instead of buying all these virtual console games again and again, now you have this library of all the NES and Super Nintendo games you could have possibly wanted, plus these other new games as well.
I love how that they have literally been giving us what we've asked for years, we don't want to buy these games again.
Right.
But it's also at the cost of
their online
progress for their online.
Right.
It's just the sweetest irony that, and I hate it. I want to sit here and cry about it, but I mean,
I do think though, if we're going to get a big push in terms of the online, I could see them really hankering down and fixing things by March for Animal Crossing. I think even more so than Pokemon, I think one of their big pushes obviously was Smash Brothers, and I think the next one really on the horizon is Animal Crossing. And I think spring of 2020 would be when to reasonably expect a huge change to the online, more so than just like adding new games to it.
I think that Metroid Prime 4 has a good shot as well.
I think so too.
Because there's going to be multiplayer with it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
So kind of looking back on the last 10 months or so, whatever we had this, starting to feel like the family plan we're kind of getting screwed on that. Because, we're for the one price, we're able to get 7 accounts in, but how many different ways could I have gotten a free or discounted year if I was single? Probably at least 4.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you get it with Twitch Prime now. You get it with, what were some of the other ways they were giving it to
Mario
people?
Maker 2 has a bundle.
Mario Maker 2 gives it, yeah.
And so if someone did it right, they could be paid up until 2022 already.
You're saying if someone did it right, I am.
See?
I'm all the way. I'm ready to go.
See, but because I did family, I can't do any of that.
No, I know. Oh well.
Yeah, and that doesn't make sense at all. I mean, offer the account however you want it to do. I mean, it's $15 extra, and I mean, come on. We know you're hurting, but I don't know. We know you're wanting more buy-ins. Like, I get it, but that's like you're, if I'm like, oh, I can get it for me, or just do it this way. Just say you can get it, like you can get your own personal account or for $15 extra.
I will say it was.
You could upgrade.
It was pretty funny to see them put that thing out where it said, if you're a Nintendo Switch Online member, you get this special offer for these 2 vouchers that you pay $100 and you get 2 $60 games. And it's like, well, that's you're paying for the online. So you're really, what are you actually paying for? It's, you get the voucher where you could choose any upcoming game or you could do any of the prior games.
Yeah, I've already bought 2 sets of them.
Switch to my voucher, Roger.
And you look at those lists of games.
Someone else can buy.
Well, but the thing is, you look at those lists of games that they have on there, and some of them make sense, right? The bigger titles like Breath of the Wild or Pokemon or Xenoblade. And then you see, like, one of the voucher games is, like, Mario U Deluxe. And it's like, there's some poor sap that's going to get Mario U Deluxe with their $60 voucher.
There was like 4 or 5 $50 games in that list.
Yeah, and it's like, why would you even do that? What's the point of doing
and then,
Wait.
I looked last week when they had
Tropical Freeze is one of them too, right? Tropical Freeze. Oh boy, a port of a Wii U game. Great.
Last week when they had the eShop sale going on, some of those prices were down to $35.
Oh my
That
god.
were still, you can still get them in the with the voucher. Because
Hey, shout out to NBA 2K for dropping the price of NBA 2K19 to $3.99 from $59.99 in the eShop. I looked in the bestseller thing and I thought that was a joke because I didn't buy the last year's 2K. I like the 2K games. I've always been a fan of NBA 2K. But I know I'm not going to buy like 2K the next edition or whatever. But I saw that 2K19 was $3. I'm like, I'm buying
bought
this.
it.
I bought it.
I don't even care about
I bought it
basketball. I bought it. I'm like, I might play this at some point.
Exactly. I bought it immediately.
$3.
They want to get you in the back end of that deal.
They do.
Oh yeah, I mean it's totally outdated, and they're about to put a new one out. But who cares?
That's fine. Who cares?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I
could
could go in there. Like I may do a video of that. Like just me playing NBA 2K19 for the first time. Be like, I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna pick the one with the best numbers.
All you got to do though, do career mode. Do career mode. Make your own character, and then just choose the people you want. Put LeBron James on your team when all the other great basketball players. You're good to go.
Oh yeah. Why would I not do that? I
Yeah.
mean that's obviously what I do. I think that to answer Dokat's question, like I'm gonna leave it at this. I think they've still got a long way to go.
I do too.
Wait,
one quick thing though to add to that, just while I'm thinking of it. Shout outs to Nintendo for finally. I saw this during E3 week and I missed it, and so I just played it the other day. I went online and I was downloading a bunch of stuff. Thank you, Nintendo, for finally adding Clu Clu Land to Nintendo Entertainment Online. Some people might think I'm trolling. I'm not. I legitimately love Clu Clu Land, and I've not been able to find any other way to play it outside of the e-reader and the original GameCube Animal Crossing. So thank you for actually re-releasing that.
When I tried playing that, it frustrated me. The
You're
controls
like
were
one
awful.
person I have ever heard get excited about Clu
Bro,
Clu
put
Land.
Bubbles in the next Smash Brothers. Make Bubbles the DLC character.
Oh my gosh, no, that's stupid enough. It might happen.
Please. You've
No.
already got the items. The little Uniruds are already in the game. They're an item. You throw them and then that's literally from Clu Clu Land.
What is it?
The Unirud, the little sea urchin thing that pops out, that's from Clu Clu Land.
Oh, well, that's a great item.
Yeah.
Too bad the game sucks.
It's a good game.
Let's move on to this question from Mecha Dragon 101. He asks us this. He says, "What Nintendo character would you think would fit best as a guest character in Mortal Kombat?"
Ooh, Ridley or Ganondorf.
Okay.
Waluigi? Put him in something?
He just comes up and shouts, and your skin melts off. Wow!
That's the weird thing, right? Is you got to think about characters in the Nintendo, because there's villains, right? There's lots of villains in Nintendo lore, but like Bowser doesn't kill anybody, right? Bowser doesn't brutally murder someone. Ganondorf, he's brutally murdered people before. He murders people. Ridley ate Samus's parents and then taunted the baby Samus and was like, "Where in my belly are mommy and daddy?" So I feel like Ridley would make sense. But beyond Ridley and Ganondorf, I feel like they're kind of the only two serial killers. Nobody else really brutally murders people.
No. I have my pick, and he's up there.
Okay.
Wolf. Star Wolf.
He doesn't brutally murder people.
He is eating flesh off of bones in Starlink.
No,
Yes.
He's not. He's eating like they're bugs and stuff. No, he's not. He's not eating like flesh off of other wolves or something. Star Wolf is the character who's
you're
like.
making the assumption though that everyone in Mortal Kombat is a serial killer.
Wolf is Wolf is not a killer though. Wolf is a bounty hunter. At the same time though, when I almost said Dr. Pepper. When General Pepper was dying in Star Fox Assault, literally General Pepper's dying. His arch enemy is dying, and he flew into Corneria to help save his life. So I feel like Wolf is not going to be ripping someone's intestines out in Mortal Kombat.
But it would be awesome.
I'm not saying it would be awesome.
We're all ignoring the obvious answer here, and it's Isabel.
Oh, right.
She's a stone cold killer. You know she is.
Oh, actually, I thought of a Nintendo character that actually would probably work in Mortal Kombat. Bayonetta.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Bayonetta would actually make sense. I could see them doing Bayonetta.
Bayonetta makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Ripping apart people and stuff. I could see Bayonetta. Yeah.
Doing her fatalities of all the witch time stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nintendo Well, kind of, but what that the Mega Man 1 box art character from that other fighting game.
Oh gosh, just looks at people when they die.
That'd be great.
Just melt.
That'd be
What like? But think about some of the absurd ones you can do, like Tetris block. You
Well, people
Squash
wanted
somebody.
people was wanting Tetramino in Smash, so sure.
I'm for it. Man.
I don't know, this is kind of Nintendo related, but kind
Or
of
the
Nintendo as well.
Tetronimo. I don't know.
You know, you've seen that that there's already backlash about the Shang Tsung character DLC for Mortal Kombat 11.
Why is
Yeah,
it back?
because a lot of people are complaining about that they love him. It's such a cool concept because like a lot of the ninjas that are in the game or aren't in the game, like his moves are based on him, like Rain, Smoke, Reptile, Ermac, several of those, callbacks to original games. He is like, I love how the design of the character, he is a callback to Shang Tsung from the original Mortal Kombat movie.
Right.
But the problem with it is that when you go in and play ranked play, instead of being able to use custom characters and ways that you've set your character up, NetherRealm Studios has designated 2 versions of each character that you can have in ranked play, and you're not allowed. Like Shang Tsung in either of those does not have all of the moves.
Oh, weird.
So it like you either get one version or the other.
Huh. Well, I
And
wonder
so
why.
people are kind of ticked off about that. I don't understand why.
I understand that for sure. That I don't want to log online with Piranha Plant and Smash and suddenly not have her up B. I'd be mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's round out our let's discuss with this, and I think this is a great way for you, Roger, to talk about your week last week as well. But we're a week away now from Nintendo's E3 presentation. We've had a week to think about it, to let it settle in, to take in quite frankly a lot of media.
Yeah.
That Nintendo and others around Nintendo have produced about their E3 offerings, as well as to kind of get some updates and things. So how do you think Nintendo did? And it's not about I'm not looking for winning or losing, or even a grade, but just maybe like, did they pass? Did they fail? What did they do good? What did they not do good? A week removed from this, how do you feel about Nintendo's E3 presence? How do we feel about it?
I'm going to give you one 5-word phrase.
Okay.
Just one. Banjo-Kazooie in Smash Brothers. Mic drop. That's it. That's all I needed. When I saw the Banjo-Kazooie reveal trailer for Banjo and Smash, something that I've been asking for since I was like 10 years old, to see that finally happen on screen, it was over. And I talked to Josh about this. First off, I think Josh liking it goes to show how good it was. Because if
Right,
Josh
that's what I said in
likes
our
the
Discord
Nintendo
chat.
Direct, and I mean, that goes to show Nintendo did something right, because that triple whammy at the ending of Animal Crossing, Banjo and Smash Bros, and Breath of the Wild 2 is, I would say, truly one of the best final 3 reveals back-to-back of any Direct they've ever done, period. Like, I truly cannot think of another, even during the Switch era, another Direct that had so many huge announcements packed in such a small amount of time. And even removed from those final 3 awesome announcements, getting more Luigi's Mansion 3, and it looking good, right? Getting more, a tiny segment on Mario Maker. They could have spent 5 minutes on Mario Maker. They didn't. They said, here you go in a montage. That's it. Getting a story trailer for Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Finding out more information about a lot of other games that are getting ported to the system. Seeing The Witcher 3 is being brought to the Switch. This blew my mind. I couldn't believe this when I saw this. I was crying. Nintendo was at my apartment. When I heard that music and I saw the Panzer Dragoon Dragon, I was like, there's no freaking way they're remaking Panzer Dragoon for the Switch. Getting Panzer Dragoon remade for the system. Them bringing back that franchise. I mean, so many announcements were packed into this Direct, and that's not even including the opening announcement with Dragon Quest Hero coming to Smash Brothers as well, which is a huge deal for
and
Japan.
following that up with the
Dragon
game
Quest
right
11
after that.
coming to Switch, exactly, with S, seeing more of Builders, seeing the Trials of Mana full-on remake that's coming to Switch, in addition to Mana Collection dropping that day. And on the day before, too, at Square Enix's conference, we found out that Final Fantasy VIII Remastered is coming to Switch. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is coming to Switch. I mean, this year is phenomenal for Nintendo Switch, and I feel like that Direct killed it. I think there was just one announcement after another. Doug Bowser said at the very beginning of that conference that he wanted to show off during this E3 that there is something for truly everybody on the Switch, and I think they delivered in spades. I really think this is one of their best Directs in a long time. Certainly their best E3 Direct in a long time, but I would say one of their best Directs, I'd say since like that very first big January Wii U Direct that everyone always goes back to. I think this was on that level. This was just incredible. So,
yeah, and looking back on it a week later, I watched it in a very different context. Of course, I'm at kids camp with a ton of kids from my church, and I told them, I'm going to be unavailable for an hour.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm surprised you were have the kids watch.
You can handle this. Well, now later on that night, my son was with me, and he and I sat and watched it with some of his friends. And I just didn't tell him anything. I'm like, I'm going to present this to you. I want you to experience the way I presented it when it first came on. And so I'm in like a public library setting when this is happening. Yeah. And so like I thought that it was great. The pacing of it was really good, except for one area, and that was I didn't need a huge big deal about spooky Resident Evil house.
Oh yeah, that was the one thing that really stood out like a straight. I'm sure that was something that Capcom paid for that commercial and then put that in there. Yeah,
I'm sure they did.
That definitely seemed like a weird.
You can play anywhere. Point. You can play this way or that way or whatever. I get it. That's what they were emphasizing. Yeah. Play your way. Play.
And yet, what they were playing wasn't the games that they were really advertising.
Right. It was It was Resident Evil 5 and 6, which I mean, some people asked for 5. 5 is a pretty good game, but nobody asked for 6. Nobody wanted 6. I mean, that's that's the one game that if you're like you're not going to port that over, that's fine, you know. But I mean, it is. Truly pretty amazing that now almost.
Let me just say this. Yeah. It was really out of place, and it was really awkward, and it really broke the pacing of it.
I agree.
But it was not 15 minutes of flying around in the clouds on a dragon's back while he tells you about living on him and his world and all this stuff. That was terrible.
Right.
I love this. I was going to call it the Switcher. I love this. I love The Witcher. Like I think that. Oh, yeah. I have not played this game at all.
Me neither. But I'm going into it fresh.
I've been asking my friends who have played. Okay, tell me why I need to play this game. Okay, I get it. I love the fact that they are being very bold and upfront about the fact that it's the game and all 16 DLCs on the cartridge. You don't have to download anything. And
that's amazing.
Book, and we're giving you stickers, and we're giving all this like. CD Projekt Red is coming out and they're saying, you know what, we love you, Nintendo fans, buy this game.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. The way, because I mean, like you look at that and then you look at some like half lazy ports, you know, that we get of other games. It's like, okay, you know, this is the bar. This is your stepping your game up from now on, right? Yeah. I mean, like I'm thinking in particular, like the news that broke today, that Devil May Cry, the original version on Switch, is 9.2 gigabytes.
And that, I mean, to me, I was just going to bring up Capcom as the one company that's really messing up on this. I mean, I'm still really bummed, and this is the main reason why I didn't download it, and I'm not going to download it, that Resident Evil 4 on Switch doesn't have the motion controls. I mean, unquestionably, I argue any Resident Evil fan would say the same thing. The Wii version of Resident Evil 4 is bar none, the best way to experience that game. And the fact that they're literally sitting on that, they could have easily just released that on Switch as is, and they didn't, and they're charging us more money for it, and it doesn't have motion controls. I mean, that's ludicrous. I refused. I was going to download Resident Evil 4. That was the one of all the Resident Evil re-releases. I was like, I'm going to download 4 on the Switch. And as soon as I heard that, I went, well, no, I'm not. I'm just going to keep my Wii version. It's crazy to me. Yeah.
I did love that, you know, they managed to follow up a lot of, like, it was almost like ebb and flow. Like they knew this is going to kind of be a low announcement, so we're going to hit something really big here.
Right.
Panzer Dragoon, I thought was
unbelievable, out of nowhere.
What in the world? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what the game of the Direct was for me. Like the jaw drop moment, okay, that I just went, Holy crap! And it was Breath of the Wild too. I mean, that was the ultimate one. It was everybody's.
Oh, of course.
But Contra Rogue Core. Holy crap! Like as soon as that came up and I saw the dude surfing on a missile, I was like, "That's a brand new Contra game."
Yeah.
And I am fired up about that. I love the Contra series.
That one
I love
confused
the
me.
fact that
I
game.
it's coming
had
out
no
soon,
idea what that
too.
was.
It's coming out.
Yeah,
real soon.
I love the fact that it was a shadow drop
Yep.
of Contra Anniversary Collection that day.
Yep.
That was fantastic. I immediately bought it. I spent so much money E3 week. It was stupid. I bought it in Charles the Mana Collection.
Oh yeah.
Immediately. It was like right off the bat, and that one was a great one too. Well, I was kind of disappointed that wasn't the Secret of Mana remake.
That's
that
actually a good thing.
PS4 got.
That's good. The Secret of Mana, I don't know if you've played it. The
No.
Secret of Mana remake on PS4 is garbage. It's really, really bad.
Perfect.
And
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah, and the thing is people were concerned upon watching that Trials of Mana remake. People were like, "Oh, is this going to be like the Secret of Mana one?" And it is very clear from the Treehouse Live segment that it is not. Maybe there's some people working from that team, but like this remake looks like what a Mana remake should be. And for them to remake 3, which is a game that we never got in the first place, and then to be able to play the original game before that new version, the remake comes out next year in English. I mean, that's great. I mean, they went out of their way to actually localize it. The team over at Square didn't have to do that. Went out of their way to localize it, really change all the text again. I think that was brilliant, and I think that's going to pay off in spades next year. But yeah, you're missing nothing with that Secret of Mana remake. That game is trash.
That makes me feel better. I do think that this direct, like you said, was probably the best E3 direct that they have ever done.
Bar none.
Since they started the digital thing. I thought tonally it was more consistent throughout than Nintendo has been in a lot of their presentations, and ending on the high note of Breath of the Wild 2, just, I mean, and we're calling it Breath of the Wild 2, but like we don't even know what it's called. You know, it could be something completely different. It's the sequel.
Working title.
It's whatever it is. But I mean, just that, like, talk about something nobody was expecting. Right. Absolutely. Nobody thought that was happening, but I did think that was interesting. We didn't see anything with there was a very heavy rumor of Pikmin that was going to be in this direct. I think it's funny we didn't see anything about that because it's got to be out there. There's going to be another Pikmin game.
Yeah, of course there will, but it doesn't really surprise me that they aren't putting it out there because I feel like Pikmin is very easily a game that could have been thrown out to die during this E3. And I think they realized with Animal Crossing, with these heavy hitters, I mean, talking about, the Contra and Secret of Mana and like Panzer Dragoon, right? These are big standalone third parties, even Resident Evil stuff. I mean, those are big third party announcements. And the Smash Brothers characters, I would even argue too. I mean, they're big third party kind of things. But to put Pikmin in there in the same direct as Animal Crossing, Breath of the Wild 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, I mean, I really do feel like it would have been eaten alive in that direct. And I'm sure they're working on it too. I mean, that's something that we're all just waiting on. Like, all right, well, when are you going to shadow drop this for like a spring release? I mean, we could see it in September. We could see it for all we know in December,
you're right,
and then they release it in
February.
We're
not even really sure about 2020 past March.
Right.
As it is right now. So let me ask you a couple questions here, and we'll move on.
Sure.
Just about different things. Number one, when do you think we're going to see Luigi's Mansion?
Oh, definitely Halloween. I think that's a missed opportunity if it's not Halloween.
Oh yeah,
I'm
thinking there is nothing coming out in October.
Yeah. And I'm actually
you got Pokemon in November.
Yeah.
And then you've got this just ridiculous September.
I'm gonna make a prediction right now. By the way, on the podcast, I'm gonna make a prediction right now.
Okay.
I think we are gonna get a fall direct. I think we're gonna get a fall. We always do, but I think we're gonna get a fall direct in early September.
And that's going to be the release date.
I think that will be the release date for Luigi's Mansion, and I think that will be the shadow drop of Banjo-Kazooie as playable in Smash, because they said fall. Like I think they're going to drop the hero from Dragon Quest during EVO, because EVO is next month. So I think they're probably going to drop during EVO. It's the summer. That makes sense. They'll be like, hey, it's a fighting game tournament. You could demo them on the show floor. They did that last year with Ultimate. I think that'll be the case. I think Dragon Quest is going to be at EVO. Shadow dropped. I think Banjo is going to shadow drop during the fall direct, and I think at the end of the fall direct is when we're going to see the 4th DLC character. And we talked about this a little off air, but I'm all in on this. I completely believe this. I think the fourth DLC character at the end of the Fall Direct to go along with the Halloween theming is going to be a character from Undertale. And I think that would be the right time to announce them, to then say they're available in December. I truly, truly believe that. I think we're going to get Luigi's Mansion, Banjo Shadow Drop, all the information on Luigi's Mansion, probably more information on Animal Crossing, and at the very ending, boom, announcement for that fourth DLC character.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that's brilliant. It's brilliant marketing. It's a great way to do it.
Because it goes along even with Halloween too. If we're doing if it's Frisk or Sans or whatever, right? I mean, it would make sense for a skeleton, a spooky kind of character, to be announced as the fourth one. And even if it's not Undertale, I would maybe even make the argument that like something else that's along those lines, maybe something like a Dante or a Resident Evil character or something.
Yeah,
it'll be some type of spooky character. I'm putting money on that. That'll be the fourth DLC announcement.
You know what I'm really thinking and seeing here is Halloween is on a Thursday.
Right.
It's October 31st. When does Nintendo typically release their games? On a Friday.
Right.
So Luigi's Mansion drops November 1st.
Midnight release November 1st. Exactly. Yep.
So it's out there during that Fall Direct. That makes a ton of sense.
Would they really want to do that 2 weeks before Pokemon?
Well, I think that's the thing, though, right? Is I think they do need to have it out by that release date.
Right. Maybe the week before Halloween might make a little more sense.
Well, they could do I could see the week before Halloween too, but I think around that time frame, like it'll be a week after or a week before Halloween. I cannot imagine them dropping this any other time. Yeah. And we got September's Link's. We didn't even talk about Link's Awakening. That remake's amazing. Like, we didn't even talk. Yeah. That's how good this Direct was. Is they had a remake of one of the best Zelda games, and we didn't even talk about it. Like, that Link's Awakening.
That gives us an almost Zelda maker.
Yeah, it gives us an almost Zelda maker. And I played the game on the show floor, and I played it at my demo appointment, and it's fantastic, man. I mean, it's exactly what you want out of a Link's Awakening remake. It brings back so many of the cute little nostalgic things from that game. All the charm of the characters, like the banana gator on the beach and the raccoon in the forest and all the little Mario enemies and crossover things. I mean, that game is going to be great. I can't wait to stream it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know if my son ever played the original. So
I think
it might be new to him.
Thankfully for your son, he won't have to suffer through what I suffered through at E3 2011 with you and with Will, as we were struggling to download Link's Awakening DS on my 3DS, me having never played Link's Awakening before, and going, how the hell do I get this thing to the witch, get the potion, to wake up the raccoon? Like, I never played it before, and I hated it. So he's going to be able to play the best version, where if he needs a hint, he just presses the little minus button. Oh, go this direction to find the witch.
Yeah, so... the other question I had for you, Roger, is what in the crap led them to say everyone better have a limitless pocketbook in September?
Right. Well, I'll tell you right now. I think if you look at all the games that are releasing in September, and you look at what we talked about earlier during this, where they're going to want to probably have that Switch Mini out by the holidays, it would make sense to me that September would be the month where they launch Switch Mini. And based on all the other leaks that we've been hearing, those Chinese manufacturer things with the accessories, it sounds like they're pretty far into manufacturing these things. So a September release date seems to make a lot of sense. Wouldn't be surprised if we actually get an announcement like in July of the Switch Mini, or if we get the Fall Direct earlier than any of us are expecting, in maybe like early September, late September. And then they end up announcing the Switch Mini during that, and it gets released alongside something like Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, so let me throw these out here. This is just I think this is pretty much a complete list of what we're looking at in September, and I'm going to just hit the bigger name games. Yep. September 3rd, you got Spyro Reignited Trilogy. Yep. September 13th, Daemon X Machina. On September 20th, 1 week later, is Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, as well as Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch Remastered. On September 24th, Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition Pack, Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition, and Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition. Contra Rogue Core also on September 24th. Yep. And then Gunvolt Chronicles, the new episode of Azure Striker Gunvolt, September 26th.
Yep.
Followed up by Dragon Quest XI S
Yep.
Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition on September 27th, along with FIFA 20 Legacy Edition on September 27th.
And when is Astral Chain again as well? Because isn't it relatively
August 31st.
August, so it's right before that September.
I'm
I will
sorry,
say this:
August 30th. is when-
they're kind of sending Daemon X Machina out to die. I don't know if you guys played the demo of Daemon X Machina, but if you watch that Astral Chain demo from Treehouse Live, I feel like the audience that wants Astral Chain is probably going to be the same audience that wants Daemon X Machina. And I mean, there's no question about it. Astral Chain is like the game I'm picking up day one. That game looks so good.
The best meme that I saw come out of E3 was a picture of the cover art for Daemon X Machina and Astral Chain together, and it said, "Which one you getting, red or blue?"
Right, yeah, the two pills.
You know, like it's like Pokemon. Like which one you picking, red or blue?
Did you even mention like the Dungeons and Dragons games? Like there's two.
Yeah, the Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate. Okay, yeah. Because
they're in there.
In the future game list that I maintain, there are I have 14 September games.
Wow. See, for me, the three that really stand out to me are Link's Awakening for sure. That's an insta buy, not even a question. Ni no Kuni Remastered is another huge one. I love the original Ni no Kuni, but that's the kind of thing I want to experience on a handheld. And to go along with Ni no Kuni, as another big RPG fan, definitely Dragon Quest XI. I specifically held off on playing that last year on PS4 because I wanted the cool pixelated features from the 3DS game. And then bringing that over, plus all the other information, plus now I'm going to be, a couple months into playing the hero in Smash Brothers. I'm going to want to play the game he comes from. I'm super stoked to play Dragon Quest XI.
I wasn't ready to buy it on PS4, but I was wanting to rent it. But the place I rent games from didn't have it available, so I'm still haven't even touched the game. I'm waiting for Switch.
Nice.
This is, this is like. Also, there's tons of indie games that they've released, teased on Indie Directs that are going to be huge indie releases.
I aren't even on this
list.
I thought of something else in September. Isn't Final Fantasy VIII Remastered September as well?
I think
it's
possible. It's not even on this list.
I'm going to type this. Hold on. Final Fantasy.
I just have 2019 for that.
Because I think they announced a release date during Square's. Let's see. Final Fantasy VIII Remastered details revealed.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I don't have a month. I just
They didn't give an exact release date. Okay.
But it's going to be before the end of the year.
Yeah. On Switch, which is great.
Yeah.
The game is very underrated. People like to sleep on Final Fantasy VIII, but that's actually a very good one. I'm actually playing through currently on my Switch right now Final Fantasy 12. And have either of you played 12 before?
I
tried it and I just didn't love it.
I've played through it on the original, and I bought it on PS4 and got to the end game, but I was way too leveled.
So I just got to the Great Crystal, which is like probably the worst dungeon in that game, where there's no map and everything looks the same, and you're in these like psychedelic rooms and you have to hit the little like switches. And I was stuck on that area. And this is my first time playing through it since the original release back on PS2. And I was like 14 or something when that came out, so I was very young. And I don't know how I did it back in the day, because like I said, I was really struggling to the point where I was looking up guides online, like, I just need to get through this area, please. Like, how do I get through this area? And I'm still messing up. But I want to bring it up right now. Dude, outside of that one dungeon, that game is phenomenal. Like, 12 has aged beautifully, especially in the age of the Xenoblade Chronicles games, where now there's so much real-time combat mixed in with this turn-based kind of stuff. That game has aged great. And I think that's something that was very ahead of its time when it first came out. And now, obviously, you could see it sort of reaping the benefits of that being released on a modern console. So, yeah, shout-outs to the team that did the Zodiac Age remaster, because I'm loving it. I love being able to skip through battles. I love all the extra quality of life stuff they added to it. Graphically, it's beautiful, so I'm digging it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's move on here and talk real quick about an upcoming event that you need to know about.
Sure.
If you're out there and you are a Tetris 99 fan, you need to know that the 4th Maximus Cup is beginning today as you hear this episode, and running through Sunday, June 23rd. This is going to be similar to previous Maximus Cups, except no skin unlock this time. There's no big push for DLC. this time. So no Game Boy Tetris or Super Nintendo Tetris, or I hope they do like NES Tetris and Super NES Tetris eventually. I hope they do all of the versions.
Be
That would
great.
be all. I buy them all. That's fine. Music and sound effects and everything. Go for it. It's a money machine. Print it.
I'll be competing tomorrow. Can't wait.
Yeah. So
I'll
if
be
you
ready to go.
if you score in the top What is it?
999.
top 999, you'll get 999 gold coins that you can spend in the Nintendo eShop, which, that's really, if we're honest, that's one of Nintendo's best promotions
For sure.
for
$10.
online. Like,
Yeah.
play this free game a bunch, do really good, and you get 10 free dollars, basically.
Yeah.
You get $10 off a game. You can
buy
there's games
NBA
in the eShop you can
2K19
get-
and still have $7 left over.
Yeah, you can get Downwell and NBA 2K19
There
and
you
still
go.
have $3 left. So there
There you go.
So those are the events this week. Let's spend a little bit of time chatting about what we've been playing.
Nice.
All right, Roger. You know the drill. You're the guest, so
right.
that means you're up first. What have you been playing?
So I talked about this during the previous segment. Like I said, I was playing a lot of Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age. Absolutely adore that game. I really like everything about it. The quality of life remasters on Switch. But because I talked about it already, the other big thing I've been playing is Cadence of Hyrule. And can I just say, wow. That is something that when it first got announced, I was excited to try it out because it's the first like indie Zelda. So I thought, well, this is going to be unique. And I had never played Crypt of the Necrodancer before. And to be honest, I will probably never play it because I think it is an ugly game. I just don't like the art style of that game. I know it's on Switch. I know the gameplay's good, but I'm vain. And if it's not pretty looking, I don't want to play it. But I will say this. I got a copy, thanks to my friends over at Nintendo, of Cadence of Hyrule. And I was obligated. I was like, I want to do at least one stream where I sit down and I play the game and give it a fair shot. And I was already interested, but I didn't think I was really going to fall in love with it. That stream, which originally was going to be a 30-minute test stream, turned into 3 hours on Twitch. And and I loved it. And I mean, every moment of it, like raging before I really understood the mechanics and dying over and over again to, realizing, like the basic gameplay mechanics of, finding the pieces of heart, changing out your weapons, really hitting the beats, switching between characters. And then now I had a break day. Wednesdays usually, I don't know if you guys know my schedule, but basically Sunday and Monday I do my One Piece videos. Tuesday I do a live stream on Twitch where I do a watch through of an anime series. Wednesday's my break day. Thursday's sort of like a chill stream kind of day. I just stream whatever I want on Twitch. Friday, upload a video, and then Saturday, the whole cycle starts over again with another watch-through stream. And so Wednesday's my break day. I never play or stream or do anything on Wednesdays. However, I liked this game so much that I streamed it on my break day, and I streamed it again today for another 2 hours. I have just been adoring Cadence of Hyrule. I think the remixes are fantastic. It is far better than I think it has any right being. This is something that I definitely would have purchased for $25 on the eShop if they didn't, send it to me. And that's also interesting because it's something that had I not tried it for free, I probably would have never paid the $25 to do it. So I want to urge any of you out there, if you're wondering about Cadence of Hyrule, even if you don't really like rhythm games, even if you don't really like Zelda games, I'm telling you, try this game out. You will enjoy it. I think the writing is funny. Some of the names for some of the bosses are really funny puns.
Yes.
I mean, it's just everything about it.
I saw the Obo one.
Right, Wizrobo. Yeah. They've got, a beautiful overworld that really feels like you're exploring things like the old original Zelda game. You know how like the old Zelda game, there wasn't really, you just had to sort of experiment and do weird things. You had to cut down bushes and light things on fire. I haven't really felt that from a Zelda game since Breath of the Wild, and certainly not from a 2D Zelda game in a very, very long time. And I think Cadence of Hyrule really does sort of integrate into this rhythm game, this core rhythm game, all the mechanics that made the original Zelda so fun to play on the NES. And so I appreciate that about it too. I think the graphically it's really cool looking. I love the way the little characters sort of bounce to the music, similar to the Koopas in the new Super Mario Brothers games. This really nailed everything in a way that I didn't expect.
this is on my list as well, so I'm gonna jump
Yeah.
in here and I want
Yeah,
to talk
hop
about
on
this. I suck at this game. It's
Me too.
awful, like
Yeah,
how
me
bad
too.
I am. Like I had played it for about an hour, and then it popped up the little message. It's like, it seems like you're having some trouble. Would you like to switch to fixed beat mode? Yeah, I would. And I'm
See, I
still
did that.
dying.
I was on stream, and that little message popped up, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna punk out and do fixed beat mode. I'm playing this the way it's supposed
Oh, I
to.
did.
Even if I
I
have to
did. I was
grind.
like, yep, let's do this.
Because to me, the
And
race
I'm
was
still
fucking
dying
the
a
fun
lot.
of it. Yeah.
I'm still dying a lot. And I love that it doesn't give you a whole lot of answers.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm stuck in it right now. Like I have an arrow with an exclamation point pointing toward the lake that's frozen over. I have no clue what to do, but I'm going to figure it out because
Want me to give
I
you a-
love. Hmm?
Want me to give you a hint?
Yeah.
I just beat that area on stream. So this is how I know. Go to the little cave where the sleeping Zoras are, and my hint is talk to all of them. And you'll notice one of them says something weird compared to the other ones.
Okay.
And that's your hint. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I'll
So
let you figure out the
like I
rest.
haven't got a lot of time to play anything this week, so I'll play it and I'll be like, okay, I'm getting frustrated. I'm gonna play something else, right? But like everything you've said, can I like amp it up and echo it?
Exactly.
Yes. Like it is so good, and I want to say like I love being able to do this. That like there are literal scores of people who in the weeks leading up to this, all they could say was, bet this is going to suck.
Right,
Bet this is going
right.
to be stupid. It's not Nintendo developed. It's good. I hate just Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's dumb. And now all of those people are like, I've seen literally some of them like have like come back and be like,
Do you
I was
enjoy that
wrong.
plate of crow?
yeah, enjoy, yes, eat
Oh,
that
yeah.
crow, eat it up. I knew from the minute that this like the trailer of this dropped the very
Yeah.
first time, I was like, this is something special. Nintendo is not gonna let a franchise that is red hot from their own catalog of IPs after Breath of the Wild. It's gangbusters. They're not going to let just anybody develop a game based on this and then crap it out and have another CDI Zelda
I was
incident
going to say,
on their
cough
hands.
Phillips cough.
Right. Right.
So the fact that they allowed these developers to be trusted with this first and foremost shows the confidence that they had in them. But
Oh,
it
yeah.
should have shown people that like you didn't have to worry about this product. And I get that the rhythm-based thing is not for everybody, but this is so much fun.
Oh.
And it's like it's not just a Zelda game. And I think this is important to say. It's not just a Zelda game. You can tell in the way that the care that was put into this game, from just even the design choices on the way things look and they move, like you were saying. This is not just a Zelda game. It is a love letter to Zelda games.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
love letter
Yes.
to 2D Zelda from people who obviously have been very deeply affected by it, and it caused them to want to develop games. And then they have this really cool concept with Crypt of the Necrodancer, and they say, hey, we can marry these two things together, and it's going to be fantastic. And I will say the only thing that I think is a negative detraction from it at this point is the price point.
Yeah.
It's steep for an indie game.
Yeah.
Especially one that you're not sure if you're going to like. I honestly feel like this
Yep.
would have been a great game for a demo,
I
at
agree.
least of
Yes.
the tutorial
At
in the
least
beginning.
a 10-minute demo. Because I think if people just play it, they'll know it's worth the price. But I
Yes.
think if they log on the store, see $25, I don't know, man. Like I can get however many NBA 2K19s for that. So it's like,
Right.
So I get it. I really do. I understand that. But again, I'm telling you, if you're questioning it at all, if you like Zelda at all, music at all, even if you don't really like rhythm games, if you like music, like get this game.
So they
Some of
can
those
go-
remixes,
Yeah,
man.
I'm still on the
They
fence
can
of
go-
this just because,
Don't be. Don't be. Jesse, I'm stopping.
I'm concerned
No,
about the
no,
difficulty,
no,
and
no,
I'm concerned
no.
about my backlog that I've already paid for.
No, fixed beat, plan fixed beat. Don't worry about the difficulty. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Try
just
it, you
have
will
fun
not be
with it.
disappointed. Did I ever steer you wrong? Did I steer you wrong with Unholy Heights? I know I did not. That game turned out to be great. I
Yeah.
told you it was going to be great. I'm telling you, get Cadence of Hyrule.
Here's
Well
the thing.
worth
But here's the thing about this game. You can go and watch all of Roger's streams about it, or you can go over and watch. And Zach Erickson himself has done a stream of it over on our channel as well. And I'm not gonna not spoiling anything here, I don't think, but because you're going to see it when you go to the title. He titled his video "Best Zelda Ever."
Right.
So I feel like he might have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Maybe
You
a
know,
little.
and
And
so
I will
I'm
say this
looking
about
forward.
it too, is I think the other thing that I really appreciated in this game was that they were trying something different outside of course, the rhythm-based mechanics. But I think even with the dungeons, right? Even going through some of these dungeons, the way that they're laid out, they could have easily just done what you were talking about and sort of nostalgia grab with the music, with the dungeons, right? Bring in some of those classic tracks, but they don't. Like when you're on the bottom levels of the dungeons, it's fully brand new tracks, but they feel like Zelda tracks. How they managed to do it, I don't know, but it feels like a Zelda music track. And then when you go up to like the top floor of the dungeon, you'll hear just like a little, like maybe 6-7 note, like interlude that sort of alludes to like a Bolero of Fire from Ocarina of Time, or like the Song of Storms. And you'll catch it after a couple times. You'll go, oh, I know what that song is. And it so smartly integrates those songs into the places that it makes sense to hear them, that
I love that they do the same thing like out in the field. They do the same
Right.
thing with like the Zelda main theme. That
Right.
you get like 6 or 7 notes there, and then it's on to something new, and it's homage without being overly
right.
gratuitous, right? And
I will
it
also,
does its
I'll say
own
something.
thing.
I'll say something controversial too. I will say the Gerudo Desert remix in this game is the single best Gerudo Desert remix of all time. Like when I was in the desert, and this is all on the live stream, you can see my live reaction on the video that I uploaded on my YouTube channel. I did which also is a huge testament. I never do highlight VODs of live streams on my YouTube channel, and I did that for Cadence of Hyrule, and it's doing well because people can tell I love it. But when that moment kicked in, and I was in the Gerudo Desert town, and you just hear the very quiet, strumming of the Spanish guitar, and you hear the Gerudo Desert song, but it sounds like everything else I've ever heard before. Just when you go up, boop, on that one screen, you move one screen north, and you go to the desert, and the intense music kicks in, and you hear the electric guitar wailing on it, and all the instruments come in with the chorus. I had to take my headphones off and put them down and go get a cup of water and come back to the game. I cannot believe I'm hearing this in an indie game, no less. This is something I would have expected as like an amazing jaw-dropping moment in a Nintendo-developed Zelda game.
Yeah.
But this is an indie-developed game for $25 on the eShop. Unbelievable. And endlessly replayable, too. I know the first thing I'm going to do when I beat this, I want to play it again. Because everything's random.
Because let's be honest, every
right.
save file that you begin, Hyrule is different.
Exactly. Every single
It's
one.
arranged differently.
Yeah.
So there's where the roguelike element comes in. I mean, you can go in and you can unlock different items as you play, like the bow and the cane and the shield and all kinds of different things like that. So you can get those, and if you die, you keep them. But then, like some of your winnings and some of the other things, like as far as rupees and other stuff, they don't transfer over.
Right.
So they're and you can still go back to the areas you've explored, and there's like Sheikah stones that will warp you back to certain areas, but there's still going to be parts. The enemies are going to respawn.
Yeah.
You're going to have different. You're going to have to go back through some of those areas, and so I think the correct term for that is roguelite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there is some permanency to it as well. But I appreciate that. Again, Crypt of the Necrodancer is it is a roguelite as well, but not so much as Cadence of Hyrule. They've kind of adapted it to be a little more user friendly.
Yeah, which is good because again, I will despite how much I love it, I'm praising Cadence of Hyrule. I'm probably still never going to go back and play Crypt of the Necrodancer.
It's definitely an experience.
But I think it's good that they're at least. Yeah, I think people will at least try it. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
You convinced me.
But,
I'm buying it right now, so I can't back out.
Good. Good. I'm telling you, it's great.
You're gonna love it because you're a music nerd, so you're gonna like the music.
You'll love it.
At least, I mean, just do it for that.
The movesets of the characters too, I think is great that Zelda incorporates all like her Smash Brothers moveset. With Nehru's Love being the reflect, and then Din's Fire is her special.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Link having his spin attack that he incorporates. Obviously, all the traditional moves taken from all the other Zelda games in the past. Even the interesting items that are in this one, like the cane that creates the blocks, or the snorkel that takes you where you're invulnerable under the water, where people can't hit. I love this game.
It's a love letter to Zelda.
I love it. I really do.
Absolutely love letter.
And the other thing about this game too, the last thing I'll say about it is, the last time I felt like this in terms of something I really wasn't sure about, and then I played it and I was completely sold, and now it's one of my favorite games on the system. There was one of the Switch game that was like this, where when they first announced it, I'm like, I'm not really sure, and then I got it, and now I love it. That's Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I felt very much like this could be a really bad game, and then they just completely delivered on all fronts with Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, with the music and the gameplay and everything. I see Jesse just downloaded Cadence. Excellent. So I think they knocked it out of the park with this, and I really do want to see Nintendo take more risks with crossing over their franchises with other third-party franchises. I think if Mario and Rabbids and Cadence of Hyrule have proven anything, like I think, dude, hand over Metroid to like one of the Castlevania developers. Give it to what's his name? Like the guy who makes the
Igarashi.
Right? Igarashi. Give Igarashi Metroid. Like give him a Metroidvania crossover thing. I don't know. Do something. But I think Cadence and Mario and Rabbids have proven that these developers, if they give it to the right developer that really cares about the franchise, will do no wrong, you know?
It's because they respect the source material.
Absolutely.
Because they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been playing anything else?
Mostly just Cadence and Final Fantasy 12. And like I said, the dailies I'm doing in all my mobile games, Dragalia and One Piece Treasure Cruise and the like. But no, mostly those two. And I think, I mean, let's be honest, Final Fantasy 12 is a huge game. So that consumes most of my time.
Right. Jesse, what about you, man? What you been playing?
So yeah, I have a few weeks of games I wanted to talk about briefly because we didn't talk anything during E3 week. So like during E3 week, while I was waiting for all the shadow drops to come down, I started up playing SteamWorld Heist on the Switch. Nice. I did a full playthrough on the 3DS. I don't remember what difficulty selection I did, because on the Switch I picked, the default setting was like the difficult or something. It sounded like it was more than normal, and so I had a little trouble with it. I think I got to near the end of the first act, so it was fun to get back to. But with everything else I have, I'm not sure I'll end up going back to it. Then, because I've already played it once before, so then I picked up the Collection of Mana.
Oh, good. Good.
I started off playing the first game, Final Fantasy Legend, Adventure, one of the two.
Adventure, I think.
Final Fantasy Adventure, yes.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever played this game before, and I remember like Zach mentioning a few years ago that there was a remake of it on the Vita, and I bought it and I played like the first 10 minutes up to the waterfall scene, and then I stopped and never got back into it. So, and then it took me a while to get past like that 20-minute mark, just because the hitboxes are so wonky. So I'm getting hit on attacks that I didn't think should be hitting me, and I have like 4 hit points, so I died a lot. But once I finally got to a point where I could get it, I got to like level 5, then I was able to take off. And early-ish Game Boy game, it's rough. It's got, the dungeons make no sense. You need to play this game with a walkthrough. So
it makes absolutely no sense.
So it takes a lot from Zelda. So the original Zelda, you have expendable bombs that you can run out of, that you can blow up walls that have no indication that they can be blown up. So you have to try every one. This game's got the same thing, except for these find or buy these pickaxes that has a one-use thing before they break. So they're cheap. They're only you get 7 for 60 gold. But just still, if you run out, you got to leave the dungeon to go find an item shop again to buy it, just to come back in, and then your in-game map is wiped. You have to start that over. So I think I'm maybe 2/3 through, ish, but really, and also like games of this era, it gets worse over time. The dungeons just get more obscure. So I'm like, I don't even know how people figure this stuff out before their guides. Yeah. So, and then I haven't played the other two yet. I'm wanting to try those when I can. Again, I've never played Secret of Mana, Yeah, even on the Super Nintendo Classic, never played it. So that's something I've wanted to get into, and figured now it's on the Switch, I'll have a better chance to do so. And then again, I haven't launched the third game yet either, but that'll be fun to play as a new game.
Yeah.
Then last game I won't talk about much because there's not much that I can talk about it to keep it family friendly. Is the Leisure Suit Larry Wet Dreams Don't Dry.
Oh my goodness.
Of course,
You're playing that?
Well, look at my handle. Where do you think that came from? Yes, I've been a Leisure Suit Larry fan ever since the start.
Wow.
So the early 2000s was a bad year for that series, but like the 2014-ish remake of the first game was good. This game has issues. It's got bugs in it. I trying to think of what I can say without being.
You could say eggplants. You could say eggplants, and you could say piranha plants. That's what you could say. Eggplants.
Well, I didn't even want to get into that level of detail. But like some of the bugs I found, like a lot of subtitle bugs, like misspellings in the words. A lot of that has to do with it was developed by a German developer and then translated to English. So some of that's a little wishy and a little bit understandable. But there was, the whole point of the game is, Larry, like, goes to sleep for some reason after his first game in '87, and then wakes up in 2018. And this game was a PC game in late 2018, and they specifically don't mention the year. It's, Lefty, the bartender, kind of whispers it to him, so it's kind of left open for what year it really is. But so now we're in the world of cell phones and all these apps that do things. There's spoofs of Tinder, there's spoofs of Uber, there's spoofs of Instagram. The main company is called Prune instead of Apple. That has a Pi phone, and which has an artificial intelligence called Pi, which I think is also a spoof of Phi.
Oh my god.
So, and the logo that they use of Prune is anatomical. You can use your imagination. So there's a lot of like mismatches between what's spoken and the subtitles. One of which is actually game affecting, because if I didn't have subtitles on, the character says that I need to have 40 points to enter the bar. Subtitle says 25. The subtitle's right. So
you going looking around for 40.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if the PC version had these bugs and if they ever got fixed, or if the PC version is still this crappy.
Oh.
It's been out for 8 months, so I figured it would have been patched, and I figured those patches would have went into the Switch version, but no. So I'm able to figure out most of the puzzles on my own. It's a good chunk of the puzzles, like I can solve like 9/10 of it, but there's that one piece in the middle that I'm not getting. So like I know how I need this puzzle needs to end, but I can't get there. So I'm kind of going through a little walkthrough to finish it up. So I think I'm in the. Presuming there's a 3-act cycle on this, like most stories, I think I'm just starting the 3rd act. But it's a Larry game. If you play it's your point and clicky type of thing, which in a console also has some problems. It took me a while to figure out how to like combine 2 items in inventory versus take an item in an inventory and affecting the environment with it. And the controls aren't always consistent. Like I want to use, like I can go the down, like from where the D-pad would be to move a cursor down, but up does not bring the cursor back up. It loads up the Tinder-ish app.
Oh, weird.
So it's a very inconsistent in what the buttons mean. And so, but if you like, if you play point and clicky And if you're a fan of Larry games, it's a Larry game.
I gotta say, I had no, idea of what the Switch one looked like. The only idea I had of any Leisure Suit Larry anything was like from an EGM article in like the 2000s about one that came out during that era. And
That's probably the
while
bad
you were
one.
talking, yeah,
Is that the college
while you were
one?
talking, I pulled up the game you're talking about. This is the brand new one for Switch, and this is interesting. And I love that the trailer says it shows like YouTube comments from the initial reveal of the game, and one of them was, "How did anyone think this was a good idea?"
Right.
And then another one responded where it's like, "What? The developers must be trolls for making this in 2019." It's just like, I mean, it seems funny. This definitely seems funny.
Yeah,
and I do like point and click things.
It's a funny game. It's a raunchy game, so it's not one you play in front of the kids.
No. But I honestly, I mean, we've been friends for a decade, and I truly did not realize until right now that the Laffer in your name comes from Larry Laffer from Leisure Suit Larry. That I never knew that. I assumed it was because you're a jolly guy and you like to laugh, and so you're just a laugher, and you thought it'd be goofy to spell laugh the wrong way.
I've had multiple people on Twitter and multiple people in Discord say, "OMG, I'm just now figuring this out."
Leisure Suit Larry, wow. Wow. All right, well, congrats to you for getting the game from your namesake on the Switch. That's unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah, I never thought that would happen.
No, and here we are.
All right, Marty, you're up.
And so, I mean, what we've just revealed is that that Jesse is the inspiration for the Larry Laffer character.
That's right. That's right.
No,
it's been
it was the other way around.
It's been his life the entire time. No, in addition to Kane, some Hyrule, which I've already talked about, I've also been playing my favorite Shadow Drop of E3, which is the Contra Anniversary Collection. This is out right now for Nintendo Switch and also other systems as well, I believe. It's on PS4, it's on Xbox One, it's on PC via Steam. This compilation has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games on it.
Wow.
But the thing is, before you get really excited about that, okay, 3 of those are Contra, the original Contra.
Just the very first one.
Yeah, and what I mean by that,
one version is your robots running around.
There's the arcade version of the original Contra. There's the NES version of the original Contra, and there's the Famicom version of the original Contra. There's also Super Contra from arcade. There's Super C, which is the NES version of that. There's Contra 3, the Alien Wars, and Contra 3 Hardcore. Contra 3, the Alien Wars was on Super Nintendo. Contra 3 Hardcore was on Genesis and Operation C for Game Boy. And then, out of nowhere, Super Probotector Alien Rebels, which is the European version of Contra 3, which features robots instead of real people killing aliens. That's
because
the only
of ratings.
Change, literally. And then there's Probotector, which is the Mega Drive version of Contra Hardcore, which is the European version of the Genesis game. I love these games. I love the fact that all of the arcade versions can be played in Tate mode with my flip grip, which is really cool. And I love these anniversary collections. And I have to say that as somebody who has, over the last few years, has been really down on Konami just because basically they've wasted their time with pachinko machines and all these great franchises like Castlevania and others are just kind of sitting there wasting away. These anniversary collections are really well done. The Contra Anniversary Collection and the Castlevania collection are really well done. And I do want to mention here that if you own either of these today, a brand new update just dropped that added in all of the Japanese versions of these games.
Oh,
so you can go back.
I have the Castlevania one.
You can play the original Castlevania games with the Famicom versions, which have better music.
Oh, nice.
And for those who are unfamiliar with the Famicom version of Contra, it adds in a story like cinematic at the beginning of the game. It adds in cinematics at the end of each level. It adds in different graphical effects on the levels, and it actually adds in a world map as well. So between levels, it's showing you how you're progressing.
Why they ripped all that out for the North American
release. It seems weird, yeah.
I really don't know. I really
Huh.
don't know. It's. I mean, the Konami code works and everything.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So it's a peek back into history. There's also on these collections there is like an ebook for each one that's like 70 something pages for both of them. It's like the history of Contra, the history of Castlevania. So for $20, these are really good packages, especially with these new updates that let you experience the Japanese versions. Which, again, if you're unfamiliar with it, Famicom games that they were just more superior in musically because they had an extra chip that allowed for extra tracks on the music or extra effects on
Yeah,
the music.
I think they added extra audio chip
Like
on cards.
if you want a really good example of it, go to YouTube and look up Castlevania 3 NES versus Famicom music, and you can really hear it there because Konami developed a chip for Castlevania 3 that was only for music and it was only used in Japan. It did not come over here.
Huh.
And so the music sounds so much better. It's just take my word for it. Go check that out. So this is a blast. It's $20. I definitely recommend it if you're a nostalgia fan. And then a game I picked up today, which I had forgot was releasing, is Catan. Came out on the Switch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's available right now. It's $20. It's a little pricey, but I've actually been sitting here playing through. I'm actually playing my first game. I've got Carcassonne on the Switch as well. We got a review copy of that. Didn't get a review copy of this, but it's really interesting. For one, it's a competent version of Catan for home, and you can play it. You can play. I'm gonna see. Hang on just a second. I want to see if I can save my game here. Your game will be saved. Yeah. So you can play. If I'm playing single player, there is campaign mode, there's scenario mode, and there's tutorial mode. And then I can also play multiplayer, where I can play custom match or auto match, which means you can play this online. So you can actually
seems crazy
play.
to me because isn't Catan like a huge long board game?
Yeah.
So that means people are sitting online with you playing through like 80-minute long games.
Yeah.
Sometimes more. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think that's actually a pretty cool thing.
No, it's very cool.
Also
yeah,
in here,
cool.
you can change. I don't know if you can see this on the stream.
Yep.
You can change the playing table
Yeah.
that you can have. Like there's there's different. Is that moving?
Yep.
It's hard for me to see.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
there's like different versions of the table that you can play. So it's just little graphical effects, and then also the tokens that you use. You can see there. I'm using some like embellished tokens, but you can get the original ones as well, and then ones that pertain to the other kind of playing tables. And then you can even change the terrain hexes to look different. So there's banners, and all of this is stuff that you unlock as you go through the game. I just think it's interesting that they've like taken it upon themselves. I'm going to see if I can show you this. There is this in this campaign. You can open you can see the map, and there's all kinds of different like scenarios that you play through. And so they've like developed an entire single player campaign around for people who maybe you don't have friends who like to play Catan, but or maybe you don't get to play it that often and you really like it. Well, here's the Switch version. It's $20. It's out there. It's by Asmodee. There's also versions of other board games coming. I know Lord of the Rings, the living card game is coming. Pandemic is coming. So there's I'm all for this. I'm all for this. Carcassonne on the Switch is brilliant as well. We have a video up on our YouTube channel. You can go check that out, where I reviewed it, played through a game, and showed some of the mechanics of it. If you've ever played that game, it's fun. It's pretty fast. It's a lot faster than Catan. I would say you're going to at least be an hour in this game. Like, only way I know to describe it, if you've never played it, is better Monopoly on an island that you're trying to take over. Except there's no money, and you're just building roads and settlements and trading bricks and ore and sheep and wheat and wood.
A little bit of resource management
with your fellow people who are also trying to settle the island before you. First player to 10 wins. it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And Catan is, for me, is a little bit nostalgic. It is one of the gateway games that got me into board gaming as a hobby, and so I'm happy to have a version on my Switch that I can play. I will say this: having both the Switch and the iOS version, this is loads better than the iOS version. It's way better. Having Carcassonne iOS version and this is loads better than the iOS version. There's tons of little graphical things that they've done to it, and music and other little touches that I think the console versions are superior. Carcassonne was the game that got me into board gaming, and it was because of Xbox Live Arcade. Like I looked at it, like it got mentioned on Penny Arcade, in one of their write-ups. It was like because they play a ton of board games, and and Catan and Ticket to Ride, I heard them mention, and those are the ones that got it. So I'm hoping that Ticket to Ride eventually comes to Switch too. That just needs to make money, and they'll bring it over. It's not a big deal. But yeah, so that's what I've been playing. Looking forward to. My goal this summer is to catch up a little bit on my backlog before all these games hit in September, and we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, that's my concern. That's why I'm trying to bum rush through as much of Final Fantasy 12 as I can, because I am kind of on a deadline, because I've got Anime Expo in 2 weeks, so that's 1 week taken out of it, and I'll be at Evo as well. And in the interlude in between, July 26th is when Fire Emblem comes out, so I have to beat everything in my backlog before Fire Emblem, because Fire Emblem is going to consume my life for the next 2 months after that. So
Yeah. So, Roger, as we get ready to close out the show here, just real quick, since you are our guest, and maybe we have some people who have started listening to the show since your last appearance on the show, why don't you tell us a little bit, just for a minute, about who you are, what you do, where people can find you, how they can follow you, how they can watch your videos, all that great stuff. Promote yourself.
Sure.
Take full reign.
All right. Well, you can find me on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, and on Instagram. I cover Nintendo, Japan, games, Japanese games. I mean, everything. If you like video games, if you like anime, if you like manga, if you like Japanese travel stuff. I have so many vlogs coming up very soon from my trip to Japan. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Rogers Base, ROGERSBASE. It's also my Twitch channel as well, where I stream gameplay of pretty much any Nintendo Switch game I'm interested in, as well as doing watch-throughs of different anime series. Right now, I'm just now getting into Hunter x Hunter, which is something my audience has really wanted me to get into for a long time now. I've been loving it. I've been uploading highlights to my YouTube channel and doing live streams of it, and I've just been having a blast. So, between all the events that are happening now with E3 and Anime Expo and, my trip to Japan, and then now all these games coming out, I have a lot of content. And I'll actually be doing Mario Maker content as well. And if you're listening to this the night that we're recording it, congratulations, you're going to find out about something kind of cool. I have a very, very exclusive preview event I'm going to on Monday for an upcoming Nintendo game that I can't wait to talk more about on Monday. So, stay tuned to my Twitter, @RogersBase. Like I said, RogersBase everywhere. And find out information about that as soon as I'm able to talk about it. So.
Awesome.
NDAs are awesome.
And dude, as usual, thank you for being on the show. We really
Always
appreciate
a pleasure.
your time. We're thankful for you coming on, and look for Roger's stuff. Go out there and go subscribe and like and follow and love and all the good things to Roger.
I will say this. Almost every time that I'm on Nintendo Dads, almost every single time, this is true, almost every single time I get at least 1 or 2 comments afterwards from people being like, found you from Nintendo Dads. And considering, sometimes I'll do collabs with channels that have like 300,000, 400,000, and I won't see any of that. But your audience is dedicated. The dads put in the work. They do.
You know why that is, right? It's because we have the best fans.
They're pretty great.
We have the best listeners.
They're awesome.
We seriously, we have the greatest community, and we're super proud of that. Well, man, we want to thank you for hanging out with us for episode 235. This has been a great show, and we're excited to continue to bring some content to you. We're going to close out our show the way we always do. We want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Chris Mears, John Blanco, Dave Ernsberger, and Timothy Off. You guys are awesome, and you can now go over to Spotify and listen to the dads over there. You can like and subscribe to us as well on Apple Podcasts and Google Play, as well as Spotify. And if you will, please leave us a great written review and a 5-star review so that other people can find it. And if you keep doing that, Roger will keep dancing when he comes on the show. He gets into those 5-star reviews. You can head over to patreon.com/NintendoDad to support us. He's even for $1 a month. Follow us on social media at and Facebook and and if you're feeling froggy, call in and leave a voicemail. 929-25 at 9. Mug. That. And Adam Leonard, Carter Johnson. Guys, for me, for Jesse, for Roger, and the rest of the dads, thanks for listening to episode 235. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Pow, 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 pow. Well, Puppet.